A night in with MauLer and the drinker, getting trashed with the web's free thinkers. A cheap night cause I'm feeling kinda thrifty, got a 10-pack of beers and a bottle of whiskey. Hop up the cork, have a glass of wine, I'll feel safe, I'll be fine. Trouble walking in a straight line, but pour me a Pinot Noir. It's open bar with our hosts, MauLer and the critical drinker.
All right, woo! That's our cue to do the thing.
Yay!
We're here. It's open bar, and we're ready for this monstrous event that it is. Hello, everyone. Welcome back. It's good to have you all here once again. We have got a pretty big bar this evening, so we got a bunch of guests. How do you feel about this, Mo? Are you ready?
Oh God, yeah, are you kidding me? Let's do it.
We've got. Well, first of all, we've got Drunk Ken and Long Ken in honor of the enormous success of Barbie. We are all Kens this evening.
I'm just Ken.
Yeah, it is truly a Barbie world tonight. So we're gonna do it justice, I think. So we should start bringing in the Kens. I think. Welcome, everyone, to Convict Ken.
Hello. How's it going?
It's brilliant. It's good to have you back,
Probably
man.
should have spelled it with a K, but then you put another K, and I get labeled with stuff I already get labeled.
Yeah,
with.
you don't want to have another word with a K at the end of that. That's just gonna cause all kinds of problems.
It would be a little awkward. Thank you for having me on, guys. Can't wait to talk about Barbie.
Always a pleasure, Gary.
None of us can wait for this. That's the thing. So we better move on and get as many people in as possible for this because we've assembled a crack team of Kens this evening to take it on.
Do we have Crack Ken?
Crack
We never saw Crackhead Barbie in the movie. I'm disappointed by that one.
Yeah. Well, there's a sequel, the 50 we're gonna get.
Yes, well, we'll talk about that too. But yeah, we've got Master Samwise, aka Mistress Ken. Welcome aboard. This is your first time on the open bar, my friend. So it's great to have you on.
Yes, it is. Thanks for having me.
You had a rather successful video going like a few weeks ago because I'm looking at your channel. It's like you're now at about 50,000 subscribers. And you were doing pretty well before this, but then you put out one about strong female characters in media, and that got like 3 million views. So damn, man, that's impressive.
I think I went from 25,000 subscribers the day before I put that out to 40,000 within eight or 9 days. So it's been a bit of a ride.
The roller coaster ride of having a video go viral. It's great stuff, man. Well done to you, because it was a really good video, actually. I do recommend it for everyone watching this. Take a look at Master Samwise's channel. The link is in the description.
Appreciate it.
But yeah, thank you for joining us for this open bar this evening. And our next guest, well, he's another big shot. He is just past 100,000 subscribers, so I'm sure he's busy celebrating at the moment. Thank you for taking some time out to join us, man. It's the Movie Cynic, or aka the Movie Cynic.
How's it going, guys? Thanks for having me, man.
No, it's good to have you back on, mate. Thank you for coming in for this.
Yeah.
And yeah, congrats on reaching 100K.
Thanks so much, guys. I appreciate it. Yeah.
Good stuff. And last of all, we have got, this is one of my Patreon supporters. He's been extremely generous over the years, and got chatting to him. He's got a YouTube channel of his own, and really wanted to give him a chance to come on. We are going to see if we can get him over 1,000 subscribers, because he's only got like 300-400 at the moment. It would be awesome if we could get him over that 1K mark, because he produces some really good stuff. He is the Blue Collar Loser, aka Blue Collar Ken. Welcome aboard, my friend.
I love the Ken. Next week's my birthday, so thanks for the birthday present.
There we go. Let's see if we can get you a better one and get you to 1,000 subscribers. And I like the T-shirt as well, by the way. Very good.
I'm not wearing this for brownie points. Oh.
Well, you've got one of those rare ones that's actually printed correctly, and it doesn't say it'll be Finn. So,
Bro, I gotta ask you, because I always drink. I bought something for you. This is Clan McGregor. It says from Scotland. Is this stuff any good?
I'll be totally honest with you. I've never heard of that in my life.
Why don't you tell us?
I don't know what that is.
Oh, great. Well, we'll find out. I love Gary. I watched the entirety of the Rings of Power, and what I did was I binged the entire season with a whole bottle of vodka. So every episode is going down and down and down. And the whole time I was recording, I was thinking about you, because it got me 5,000 views.
There you go.
Yes.
There you go. And you know, there were days I wished I could drown my sorrows in vodka, but my sobriety is strong.
Oh,
No, well done, man. But I think you'd need basically a whole bottle for that final episode of season 8. That was a rough one. But hey, speaking of rough ones, we have been watching. Yeah, it's good. We've all seen Barbie, and well, it's become an absolute behemoth at the box office. It's currently sitting at $472 million worldwide, according to Box Office Mojo. This movie is well on its way to making $1 billion. I'm going to hold my hands up. Couldn't have called it. I did not predict this. It's a strange world that we live in. It really is. But having seen it, gentlemen, how did you find it? Were you entertained? Was it as enjoyable a feminist comedy as some people seem to think it was?
Discovering I was naive to ever have assumed that I was going to get something like Small Soldiers, but for girls, which would have been something. Do you guys remember the Malibu Stacy? No, that's Simpsons. Who the fucking Gwendy? I think they are in Small Soldiers. The little Barbie dolls that get experimented on and turned into like soldiers. It's actually funny as fuck.
Yeah.
But beggars can't be choosers with films, and so I ended up watching a film that I never could have predicted would have been written the way it was. And then I come out of it and I'm like, all right, that was that. And then I start hearing people thought it was funny. I was like, oh shit, I'm in the wrong dimension again. Because that happens every once in a while. We've all been there.
Well, we all cross over into different dimensions,
And then I was
Too
told
much of this, and away you go.
the film has loads of heart. And I was like, no, how could you say that? Don't invent organs. That's just fucked up. And then, of course, on top of all that, I get told, you know what? You made some interesting points. I was like, all right, I'm out. That's it. I'm done.
I'm just out of the human race now. I'm
Yep.
done.
Interesting doesn't mean good.
Yeah.
It really was like crossing into another dimension too, because like at the worst, when I was going into it, I figured I was like, oh, it's a feminist movie. Like men have their areas, and that's totally cool. And I'm seeing it because it's my job. But it was like peeling behind the curtain of like, this is what you guys talk about, like as a feminist movement. Like
Well,
like it's just like a man-hating event. It was weird.
It was.
Yeah.
It was. People often talk about like, oh, the mask slipped with this one, and it's just, the whole conspiracy thing. But this, it's like they just took the mask straight off, and let you see the horrifying monster that lay beneath it, like right from the first frame of that movie, and just never let up. And I just never expected it to be this blatant and this upfront about what it was and how much it hates men. Like, it was genuinely surprising. I never saw that coming.
As much as there was horrifying creatures in the film, they provided a knight in shining armor to the audience. He didn't make it in the end. He didn't quite come through, but I was rooting for him in the movie.
This was like a One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest kind of scenario here. Like, Ken was the absolute hero of this one. He just got destroyed by the system.
Yeah.
Horrible. Absolutely horrible movie. And the people saying like, oh, well, it's actually a subtle critique of modern feminism because, you get the woman who, I think the mother who sits down and has that big old moan about everything that's so difficult about her life. It's like, it's so hard to be a woman. Like, you can't be too skinny, but you can't be too fat, but you can't be too skinny either. And people judge you constantly. And, it's like, is this what it is? Is it just a therapy session where they just want to complain constantly? But then as I was watching it, I was thinking, man, most of these issues that you're highlighting don't come from men. They come from other fucking women. Like, the people that are most likely to judge you and put you down and make you feel insecure about yourself is probably not going to be men because they're just not that interested. They're not that aware. It's other women constantly putting you down. Like, if you want to look for the source of your problems, look in the fucking mirror. But, like, the movie doesn't even have that level of self-awareness. It's so bizarre.
There was a tweet I saw once that was like, so easy for men to go out on the town and stuff because they can wear the same outfit every fucking night. It doesn't matter. Women, on the other hand, we have to wear a new one every time. And then there was the responses like, men couldn't give less of a fucking shit if you wear a good dress every single time the same one. We don't care. It's the women who care. Like, they're the ones that go, you're wearing the same dress? Oh my God.
Bill
Yeah,
Burr
it's
has
like, why
a
are we
good
getting
bit
tarred
about
with
it.
this brush? It's like, we're
No.
not causing your problems. We're not even, like, most of the time, we're not even aware of these things. We don't notice things like the way you do. But it's like, we're somehow getting lumped in with this. It's
Yeah.
weird.
Well, and it comes from such a Los Angeles, Southern Californian perspective too. So I mean, I can't imagine how this plays out in the rest of the world. But you know what? It was a movie made for woke white women, and there's plenty of them, and they made a lot of money. But for anybody who claims to be based and walks out of this movie going, "Oh, it's fine, it was funny. There's no problems with it." Are you kidding me? This thing could have been like you mentioned, normal, like Clueless or Legally Blonde, two funny movies, right? That's what I thought it was going to be. I kind of thought it would do well. I didn't think it would do this well, and it had a lot of opportunities to be that, and it wasn't. I talked about it before we started the show. It reminded me a lot of The Boys. A lot of people like they take shots at both sides, and that's why. Like for one, they don't take shots at both sides in Barbie. They just don't. And Boys, I think Ryan put it best. When they take shots at the right, it's with lead. When they take shots with the left, it's like with a water pistol. I mean, that's pretty much what this film is. But there's definitely a market for it. That's undeniable. You know, and honestly, if there's going to be a bunch of intersectional feminism, I'd rather be in a Barbie movie than anything else, than Rings of Power or Star Wars. Because it obviously can work in one thing, but it doesn't work in others. Now, I don't know how much it'll work going on, because I thought the first third of the movie was fine. It was like, it wasn't great, but I'm like, okay, I chuckled a couple times, but then as soon as they get in the real world, it digresses into just garbage.
The first third of the movie was kind of like what I expected the movie would have been upon first seeing that there's a Barbie movie, right? Barbie's living her happy little life. She's having a good time. The Kens are a bunch of mimbos. And that's all well and good, pretty silly. And then she starts to discover that, you know, she's aging, she's being used, right? Things aren't all well and good. So it could even be something like Toy Story, right? Or maybe Toy Story 3, I guess, where the toys have to grapple with, what comes next. But obviously it devolved well beyond that.
Yeah, like this never really deals with the whole toy aspect of it. Like the closest you get is just the fact that they get played with in the real world and it can physically damage them in Barbie world, like whatever. But then that doesn't even hold up because it only applies to certain people apparently. So whatever. Like there's no internal logic to this.
Showering in Barbie world has no water. It's like, see, it's like dolls. You're like, okay.
Yeah, and then it's really unclear, like the whole, like, okay, do they have like reproductive organs or not? Like, because like how do you exist in the real world if you don't have them? Like,
I guess they ship the Barbies over to Barbie Land every time they make a new one, even though that would never make any sense. Like Barbie Land should be filled with fucking hundreds of thousands of dolls.
It should, and like if it did reflect what happens to them in the real world, like some of them would just suddenly get crushed or set on fire or like eaten by a dog or whatever. Like it would just it would be horrific. But none of that happens.
Like people could be like, "Why are you even talking about this mechanics of Barbie Land?" It's like they fucking told me what they were, and they were stupid. They could have just not had anyone talk about it, because Barbie Land could have been a protected area of a different dimension that Mattel looked after. And if you remember, there's even a line where a guy's like, "So is this an alternate dimension? Is this a place you can go if you go really far?" And then they just go, "Yeah." Like the joke, of course, from Greta Gerwig at that point is, "Whatever the hell you need to think it is what it is." But it's like, yeah, but you keep telling me what it is, and it's stupid as fuck.
So, someone always takes it to a dark place.
Oh no!
Wait, you see my review, boy.
Oh god!
As you've highlighted, Drinker, if it worked the way they said, then it would be a nightmare world. They'd be torn to shreds, most of the dolls in Barbie world.
Yeah. But it always feels like it's undercutting its own message, and it doesn't really know what it wants to say. Like, Barbie meets the girl that supposedly plays with her, and she's like a fucking anarcho-communist feminist activist because of course she is. And she's like, "Oh yeah, you're a symbol of consumerism and capitalism, and you ruined like the feminist movement and all that garbage."
But also, I stopped playing with you when I was 5.
Yeah, but it's like. They're shitting on their own product, but they then don't know what to do with that going forward. They don't know how to resolve that plot arc, and it's the same with the Mattel
Yeah.
Why? Like why put this in the movie?
Well,
It doesn't.
It gets especially weird when he's like, "We got to do something about it because untold things that you could never imagine will go wrong," and then he's told, "Actually, this is working out. The Ken Casa House Moto Dojo thing, it's actually selling off the shelves." And then he's like, "No,
does
this
Barbie
is bad."
world somehow influence the real world as well?
I have no clue.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
because
like, if
the
you
real
invent
world
something in
isn't-
that world, does it just suddenly spring into existence as a new
right.
toy line in the real world?
In the
Remember,
real world, like it doesn't even. You can't even separate it from Barbie Land because it's so ridiculous in the real world too. They're like you were saying, the Mattel guys are caricatures of real human beings.
I think, well, but like they even have like a scene that's devoted to basically letting the audience know they're pretty sexist at Mattel. Those guys, they don't hire women, and the fact that he was like, "We've had 2 women before," and just like they're trying to do an implication of it. But then they later have Will Ferrell say that he can't stand Ken outselling Barbie because that's bad for women or whatever. That we need to. And I was just like, what? I don't understand. What's the
Yeah,
character?
like what are you trying to make this character into? It's the same with the message of like, well, if you're a man in this world, then you just get everything handed to you on a plate, and then you get Ken who tries to like get all these high flying jobs, like he wants to be an executive, he wants to be a doctor, he wants to be a lifeguard, and like he's told by every person like, no, you're not qualified, you have to work to get this, you have to earn it.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, how are you? the whole like section here is predicated on this idea that the patriarchy exists and it does nothing but oppress women and elevate men beyond their competency and just gives them things automatically. But like everything you're showing us is the exact opposite. It's telling you, you have to earn everything. You actually have to work for it. So all the guys that are in these positions earned them by going to college, by getting training, by learning things, by working their way up. You're undermining your own message yet again. It's like the movie doesn't fucking understand what it's even trying to say or how.
The message is women do things and they don't get credit for them all the time. Okay. And then Barbie gets a vagina at the end.
Yay!
Yay!
My goodness.
Yeah.
Interesting point you made though, Gary. Like it's in some ways, is it good to just see this shit contained within a girly movie in a way? And I suppose yes, and it perhaps explains why they've tried to shove this stuff into traditionally male-dominated genres, like whether it be Star Wars, Star Trek, Doctor Who, whatever. Like most of those things are, and people are going to go nuts over this, but it's fucking true. It's mostly guys who watch that stuff. It's mostly guys who are into that stuff. Not all, but mostly. And so you bring that feminist, intersectional stuff into it, it's never going to find a footing because the guys are just not going to embrace it. But here you found fertile ground because it's a movie marketed to and for women. And so, okay, fine. I guess you can understand why it's such a massive hit because those are the people going to see it. And man, hats off to the marketing guys because they pulled an absolute blinder on this one. They somehow made everyone want to see this movie. It became an event. I don't know why, but it somehow is.
It's better than the Black Panther marketing, which I thought previously was the best marketing of all time because it made it a cause. It's you are fighting racism if you see Black Panther and give Disney money.
Yep.
So
well, what they did here was they advertised it kind of like Super Mario Brothers, where it's supposed to be like this harmless thing. And even if you dislike, in big, bold, pink letters in the trailer, it said, if you love Barbie, you'll love this movie. If you hate Barbie, you'll love this movie. It was like inviting people along to come and see it because it's just going to be a harmless little romp on a IP everyone recognizes, whether you're a boy or girl. And it's hilarious too because like the ending, it kind of it's like obligatory in the way that it's kind of like, oh, we kind of like equality. And like, F gender roles, but in reality, it just reinforced gender roles with like 73% of the audience being female.
Yeah,
That was hilarious.
They let the Kens have one guy on the Supreme Court, okay?
No, it was a lower circuit court.
It was a lower circuit court.
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
that's
it's
what
like
they should get. All
You're not going to get too much power. You're not actually going to get to influence.
and they said it's to equal the real world, right? Even
Right, so
though
it's not about
they're,
equality, it's about revenge. So like we're actually avenging like 1920s stuff, not anything modern.
I heard this described as cultural revenge, and I thought that's a pretty apt description.
That's a pretty accurate
for
term.
what
That's
this
what's been
is.
going on, by the way. And all of this stuff is cultural revenge. It is not equality.
It's never about equality. It's about
Mhm.
revenge.
Yeah, the very much the mindset that seems to be driving this is we've had it tough for a long time, and it's your turn now. You're gonna suffer, and we're gonna make sure that you do.
Man, I had it so it's so great being a dude. I just get given everything when I wake up in the morning. It's fantastic.
My butler comes in with my breakfast.
Yeah.
It's like,
Good old
would you
John.
like another promotion, sir? Yeah, sure, I'll take
Yeah,
one.
I'd like one. Not today. Let's not go crazy. Maybe
Boy, I know. I have a 16-year-old kid, and the past 10 years, the stuff I've experienced in family court, boy, as a guy, it's I've got some stories.
tons of equality
bet.
there.
Oh, definitely.
Oh,
To
yeah.
the point where last year my kid said, "I don't want to go home with my mother. I want to live with dad." And a female judge is like, "Too bad."
Yep.
Jesus Christ.
It's boy.
It's pretty horrible over here. Not sure.
I mean,
Well, I mean,
Greta
like, how-
Gerwig. Sorry, go ahead, MauLer.
I was gonna say, how would a film called Ken be received, where we make loads of jokes about how women have no idea what it's like to even exist in this world because they don't know what it's like to work the hardest jobs, to have the highest workplace accidents, to have the highest suicide rates, to have the highest homeless rates. And I think that people would be like, all right, calm down. There are problems that everyone experiences. You know, they wouldn't be like, you're right, this is a fun movie. Fun points getting made. Fun. Like,
Well, I mean, again, you could even go to the point of making a movie where like all the women are portrayed as useless, hysterical, empty-headed bimbos that can't do anything for themselves and get constantly like mocked and belittled by the guys. And when the inevitable firestorm of protest erupts, you just say, "Well, it wasn't made for you.
oh yeah,
Wasn't made for you, honey. So you can't complain." It's like, yeah, is that going to work? I don't think it will somehow. So
I mean, it's also an
funny how
argument-
that door it only ever swings one way.
It really
and
does.
starts to get a little bit tiresome after you've seen it about 600 times, you know?
Mhm.
Or when you're told like you're looking too deep into this movie that's made for women, and it's like, but if I had something positive to say about it, it's totally fine that I'm analyzing it like I am.
Oh,
I
do you
always
think
found
that's-
that hilarious.
I think that's really condescending to women. It's like, don't look too deep in the movie for women. Like,
Don't think
oh,
about it.
okay,
Yeah.
fine, I guess.
It is.
The argument is always, because this is always what happens, right? When you make a valid point about something and they don't want you to make it, they'll be like, well, why do you care so much?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god.
Why? Why'd you
Yep.
care? It's like, well, we got what we wanted, so now that you're starting to question it, why do you care?
Stop
It's
caring.
it's always like that.
Mhm.
But it's like, if it's something that they want, they're happy to question it all day long and complain about it. They care if it's something that they want to get done. But when you're questioning something that they've achieved or some battle that they've won, it's always, why do you care so much? It's like, well, you care. You cared enough to try and get this movie made and support it and stuff. Okay, we're entitled to criticize it too.
I've seen different people there's loads of arguments over this film about which parts are serious, which parts are jokes, which parts are satire, which parts are trying to make fun of blah blah blah. And like, the speech she gives that ends with her saying Barbie is fascist.
Mm-hmm.
Like, a lot of people I think have concluded like that's obviously she's just trying to rile Barbie up. None of that's actually like anything the film is trying to make a point about. But I think like Jay Longbone was looking into Greta Gerwig's points about the film, and even she was like, well, some points are made there that are pretty interesting, don't you think? And it's just like,
Yeah, they don't purposely. They can hide behind that satire, but we're seeing that word fascist come up a lot in entertainment, and that's
Pulling
not
a-
an accident. That's
calling
not an
Barbie
accident.
fascist. I feel like we're
Batman and Barbie are fascists now.
yeah.
She calls her a fascist right at the end of calling her everything else, like saying your body image is, you've got all these body image problems and blah, 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 blah. And then she calls her a fascist. So if you're going to say that is satire, that's a joke, don't tack it on to what is clearly a very serious critique of Barbie.
I think we're facing the reverse issue of something that happens all the time, which is that someone says something so like fucking stupid, but that they believe in it, that we're all like, God, that could be parody and it'd be indistinguishable. And now people are seeing what they believe is parody because it's so stupid. This has to be parody. That it's like, guys, I think some of it is like legit.
Well, that's the problem, isn't it? It's like when you desperately want to believe in the movie, you will look for reasons to justify the most retarded choices that they made in it, in order to say, well, it's not a stupid choice. It doesn't like contradict the entire like ethos of the film. It's subtle satire. It's poking fun at this or that or whatever. It's like maybe it's not. Maybe like the filmmakers are just fucking idiots, and this is not anywhere near as intelligent and multi-layered as you seem to think it is.
It's like a Rian Johnson film.
Oof. Oh. Yeah. No, like Gary, they actually say to you like it's so stupid, it's smart. Like
right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely
I even find that opening scene interesting, where it's like you see a bunch of little girls like smashing babies and destroying them. You get the voiceover from the narrator saying like, being a mom is fine.
It's a bit boring after a while.
It gets boring. It's like, I think in
the
terms of
kids
your
take
life,
out all their anger on the mom and never on the dad, like ever.
Well, do you guys remember that part where she says like, I think I'm experiencing something where I'm like constantly worried about everything, and some lady is like, that's anxiety, and then Ken, being the Chad that he is like, I don't feel anxiety, and then she says, yeah, that's because the children always take it out on the mum. It's like, okay. All right. Boy. And this is the thing. If someone told me like, did you find that funny? It's like a funny joke, and I'm just sitting there like, is it?
Boy,
I don't know, man. It's just like, okay, is the target audience, if it's millennial women who are single and probably depressed and stuff and on Prozac, like if that's funny to them, power to them, I guess. Like, well done. I'm glad you found something that makes you laugh, but like, I don't get it.
It's an element of funny for me, but I don't think it's the way that Greta Gerwig would want me to find it funny. If you know what I mean? I'm like, that was in the film, okay.
I just think it's the idea as well, like when Ken goes back to Barbie Land, and this is supposedly the land of the matriarchy, where all the Barbies are in control. They are strong, they are capable, they're self-confident, they are able to do anything. And within a day, it's like now they're suddenly like brainwashed and subservient, and they're just happy to be like these Stepford wife kind of fantasy figures. And the guys are just all dude bros, like, kicking it on the beach and stuff. It makes you wonder, like, what are you trying to say here? Is like the idea of like female empowerment just a sham, and like the moment they come up against any kind of adversity, they'll just revert to type
that's
and
what
just
they said.
crumple?
Well, it's also like it's saying like you cannot autonomously make the choice to want to just be a traditional housewife. Like no independent woman would do that. You have to be brainwashed in order to.
You're some kind of sleeper bimbo, and you use the word patriarchy, and all of a sudden they just turn into housewives.
It was weird, man. Like when they make the connection to like diseases that were brought over from Western countries and stuff. Like there's no immunity to the patriarchy. It's like, are you saying it's incredibly effective? I guess so. Like I don't know.
I'm gonna be honest as well. Barbie Land just looked a lot better when the Kens were in charge. Like they had, they were working out. They had like like frat parties and everything. It just looks so much more fun and vibrant and interesting.
There's a line where Ken, funnily enough, the Gravik Ken, I think he says, "Yeah, now we can do our own hair however we want, and we can wear hats." I was like, "You weren't allowed to wear hats." Jeez,
this is some horrifying dystopia, isn't it?
What the fuck?
Yeah. I can't believe Gravik was in this movie, by the way.
Yeah.
I was like, no, I need to use some of these clips in my Secret Invasion review. Somehow, some way. Oh, God.
But how they got there was completely skipped, too, right? Like, Ken goes back, and then all of a sudden it's Kendom. We didn't actually see it. So we're reverting a process that we never saw. So they're like, oh, they just brainwashed them. Sure, we'll roll with that. Instead of actually showing how this happened.
Yeah. Not to mention the Kens. The Kens weren't even allowed to sleep in their own girlfriends' bedrooms, even visit their houses. Like, hey, can I spend the night? No, I'm having a party. Get out. Great relationship there.
Yeah. Because she straight up says to him at one point, "You can go now."
Yeah.
It's like the most dismissive bullshit. Like, I'm done with you. Fuck off.
And then later in the movie, she's asked, where do the Kens live? And she's like, I don't know.
Yeah. It's like this horrifying like underclass of like subhumans.
Yeah.
On the beach.
It's a really strange film because I feel like every point it wants to make is undermined by what it shows us.
It's like it's not saying what the filmmakers think it's saying, and Yeah, the fact that like Ken just wants to have a little bit of self-respect. He just wants people who actually see him as a human being.
Yep.
And that's all it takes for him to like get self-actualized. And I thought, is that not allowed? Like, if you're a male, are you not even allowed to be seen as human, like in the eyes of the filmmakers?
That's the thing. I think we're supposed to see him as a goofball, almost like proto caveman misogynist. Like he doesn't even know how to better be misogynist more subtly. He's just overt about it. But you watch him throughout the movie, and you kind of like, oh, look at him. He's just trying to make things work. And I'm sorry, but one of the most endearing parts is the fact that someone needed him for the time, and he enjoyed that. It's just like, oh, he just wants to help.
I heard someone call this the John Walker effect, and I thought this applied really well.
Yes.
Yeah, because it's the idea of like putting these cartoonishly over the top things to try and entice the viewer to dislike this person, and it actually ends up making them more sympathetic than your vanilla hero. And I was like, yeah, that kind of applied to Ken here.
I think as well, when the whole mindset of the writers is so ass backward, like when they don't even have a sense of morality and they're tripping over themselves to get their particular political point across, it tends to fly in the face of what audiences typically identify with what we see as being right and wrong. And so the result is the characters that they want to paint as villains that they desperately want you to dislike, you end up rooting for because they are fundamentally okay. They are fundamentally in the right as people. But the writers don't see that because they are so blinded by what they're trying to get across. They're trying to get their message in there. And John Walker's a perfect example.
Yep.
And yeah, so is Ken. And it's like, I can't believe we're having political allegory in a fucking Barbie movie, but like, yeah, it's if they want to set that stage, if they want to fight that battle, well, they've lost it already because they don't know how to fight it.
What's scary too is once the Kens basically take over, even the Ryan Gosling Ken, he's sitting there singing a guitar and a song to this woman. He's pouring his heart out. He still wants her approval after they've taken over, and they're still mocking him. And I'm thinking, wow, how many boy bands have sold tens of millions of records and shit in real life? That's
I don't know, man. Like when you have the Barbies' plans hinging on the horrible nature of the Kens being that they'd like to write and sing a song made about how they feel about these women, and they want to help them if ever they ask for it or show that they're unfamiliar with something. I'm just sitting there like, man, how hard your lives must be to deal with these horrible men doing all these horrible things.
Well, how do they overthrow them? It's like they start pretending like they don't understand how PowerPoint works or whatever, and so the Kens come and help them. And it's like, again, you're just preying on their desire to help you. Like,
it's so fucking
weird. This isn't showing us what you think it's showing us. Like,
there's a really weird piece where I think Ryan or Ken says, I'm going to play, like, can I play the guitar, or I'm going to play the guitar at you. Not to you or for you. He literally says, play the guitar at you. And I thought that was so strange because, well, I think the intention behind it is making him seem more self-centered. Because I'm just going to play the guitar and you're just there listening rather than I'm playing something that you want to hear.
That's
what? MauLer there?
We lost you, MauLer.
Oh, wait, what happened?
I don't know.
No, you can't.
Hello?
Barbie gun.
Yeah, we got you.
Okay, so I was gonna. That's the contradictory.
Yeah, it's not my internet for once.
The idea about the men in this film, right, is contradictory. On one half, they want us to be like, oh, look at them. They're so self-centered about, say, for example, appreciating Godfather or writing music that they only want to be appreciated in like a selfish way, like, look how awesome I am, or showing off their skills on Photoshop. It's not about helping the women. It's about blah, blah, blah. But then they simultaneously tell us the only thing that makes Ken happy is if Barbie looks at him and smiles at him.
Yeah.
Like he's desperate to be with her. He feels like he's worthless without a connection to her. I'm just like, why are you telling me all this? Like, you make him sound like he's an underdog and he's trying to get his life on track. I don't understand why I should hate him or consider him like a flawed human being that needs a heavy amount of help compared to someone like Barbie, who, my God, she just cycles through the whole movie like an airhead. She has no idea what's happening, does she?
Nope.
And
you could straight up recut this movie as a Ken-centric story, and it would be Oscar-worthy.
That'd be fun.
A brave man trying to stand up for himself and ultimately getting crushed by the system.
core motivation: other people see value in him, and that's what he really wants.
Oh God!
What a villain!
Damn.
I just wanted to read out a super chat as well from Night Sky King for $50. He said, "Hello to drinker and guest. This is my first live open bar and super chat. Woo! Thank you, man. Wanted to finish watching all of the episodes before joining you live, but after 6 months, I'm finally here. Cheers and thanks for the incredible content. Thank you very much, man." I just wanted to read that out because sometimes these get missed, or they go into like the super chat catch up. But that was just a nice one. I wanted to get out of there.
Awesome.
But yeah, I mean, that is Barbie. That is what it is, I suppose. It's doing fantastically well. Like I say, 472 million. It's probably going to hit $1 billion without too much difficulty at this point.
I thought Alan was kind of funny.
Yeah,
Alan, yeah.
It's about it.
There
Though.
were,
Pointed that out,
moments. There were moments.
Yeah. In the critiques of this, some people pointed out, like, when Michael Cera is like the best part of your movie, you've got serious problems.
He got his beta fantasy fulfilled though, because he beat up a bunch of Chads.
Yeah.
So, congrats to Alan.
The other aspects, the other half of this coin, I should say, the other side of this coin that's been part of the Barbenheimer phenomenon has been Oppenheimer, which has come out at the same time. And it's actually doing really well as well. It's pretty much half of what Barbie is doing, but it's overperformed at the box office. So it's now sitting at $220 million worldwide.
Nice.
I think we all knew it was never going to be... it was never going to be the kind of movie that would have mass market appeal in the same way that something like Barbie does. One, because it's a 15, and two, because it's very not niche, but like it's a historical biopic. It's 3 hours long. It's very heavy, very serious. It's very Christopher Nolan. But it's nice to see that it is doing well, and it's kind of weird in a way that I think Oppenheimer is the movie that's benefiting more from the whole Barbenheimer phenomenon rather than Barbie. It's weird. It's leeching off Barbie's success somehow. And that is a strange state of affairs to be in. But I know most of you guys have seen Oppenheimer at this point. I guess I'd be interested to just hear your opinions on it.
For context in the audience, I have not seen it, but I will ask questions here and there.
Okay.
I thought it was fine. It was fine.
I'll start out with a controversial statement. I really enjoyed the section of the movie after the bomb.
My God.
That is controversial.
That is, yeah.
Because, I'll be honest, that was like my least favorite aspect of the movie.
I saw that in your review, and I've seen that, critiqued by a few people, and maybe it's just the type of thing that I enjoy, but the political machinations, kind of, all the behind the scenes stuff, it was a little bit expository at times. And I didn't love that. It's like we could have seen that, but I guess that would have made the movie a lot longer. But I really enjoyed the courtroom drama aspect, or courtroom, not a courtroom drama. I thought whoever played the prosecutor did an excellent job. And I really enjoyed like the one scene where he is interrogating Emily Blunt's character, and he kind of moves closer to her. He doesn't do it with anybody else, but like when he's interrogating a woman, he moves closer to her. But I don't know if he's trying to like establish rapport or dominate her or whatever. And she kind of backs him down. And I thought that was a really fun scene. Maybe a little out of nowhere. I hadn't seen a ton of fire from her, but I thought I enjoyed that nonetheless. I thought the rest of the movie was excellent, but I did really genuinely enjoy the last hour, and I watched it last night from 9 to midnight, so it wasn't just because I was at peak energy either.
I think for me, like, there was some excellent moments in that final hour. The Emily Blunt standing up for Robert was like a highlight. The final revelation about the actual conversation he had with Einstein, a great payoff, really good. There's just a lot of, not sludge in between, but there's a lot of fairly tedious court hearings and interviews and like going over the same ground probably more times than they needed to. I think that was probably what stuck for me. You get to see the same scene from a lot of different perspectives, like the The hearing where Strauss got humiliated by Oppenheimer. It's like, okay, we've seen this like
Yeah,
5 times now.
Yeah.
There was a bit much of that for me. But yeah, what about the rest of you guys?
I really enjoyed it. I think with a biopic and you're going over someone's entire life, you're already going to have things that are jumping around a lot. And then you add Nolanisms, which is he jumps around a lot too. So like the first 30 minutes, that combination made for like a really choppy first, 30 or so minutes. But then after that, it felt like a crescendo to the building of the bomb. And it's like, the story and you probably already know how you feel about the existence of nuclear weapons and everything. So it's like up to Nolan to really capture that for you and put it all in one scene. And I thought he really did that. Like it hit me emotionally when that bomb went off. And I thought he did an incredible job building up to it too. The third act though, it's like a totally different movie. It's like a spy thriller almost. So I had to like get re-engaged for that. But I felt the performances really kept me engaged. Like Robert Downey Jr. Absolutely crushed this, especially after like the last year we were all making fun of him for going vegan. And then he comes out and just slams it home,
Yeah. I mean, yeah, he's looked pretty fucking ill in some of the pictures I've seen. I think he might have lost weight for this role, I guess. But yeah, he, like you say, he did a great performance in this.
Yeah.
What about Blue Collar Ken? What do you reckon, man?
I do wonder, like, much like Gary, I cannot watch the Lord of the Rings films without watching extended editions because it's perfectly paced and acted and everything going into it. With Oppenheimer, like everybody said, with the way Nolan has a tendency to kind of repeat different scenes and different dialogue, I do wonder, like Chernobyl, would Oppenheimer be better for a mass appeal if it was like 6 half-hour episodes? Just because of the pacing issues. Because like even like people can love or hate Snyder Cut. When Snyder Cut came out, I actually took 7 of us in our family. We made it 4 1-hour episodes, and I think it's a lot better like that. And Oppenheimer, I can name 20 friends that are not going to sit through a 3-hour biopic, but they'll watch a 3-hour miniseries. It's funny like that.
It was interesting because like the best way I could describe it in my review was like I was never bored necessarily. Like I was engaged throughout the whole movie because it's so technically well done. The performances are fantastic. This movie's got the kind of cast that most directors would fucking kill for. Brilliant cast of people, and they all give great performances. Nolan obviously knows what he's doing from a technical perspective, so I was very engaged. I just wasn't necessarily invested the whole time because it doesn't have that emotional component that I was looking for. But yeah, like I think it could be done as a miniseries. I think that could potentially work quite well. Gary, what about you, man? Like, I know I've seen some of your tweets about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you negative Nancy.
That's me. Well, I mean, I didn't hate it, right? I didn't hate it. It was meh to me. It was super bloated, self-indulgent. The editing in the beginning was just nonsensical. There was just a lot dialogue delivery, cut the scene, and that's where I'm in agreement that I didn't mind the third act. I didn't mind it because Robert Downey Jr.'s performance was so freaking good. So was Cillian Murphy's, but like that first hour, it's like, all right, he likes to screw communists. I get it. And they didn't even show all the communists he screwed. They showed they insinuated it. But the Florence Pugh's character like made no sense in this. It was like, we meet her, she's sad, she kills herself, or maybe murdered, not sure, in that order. And there's nothing in between them. I feel like I missed a whole lot with this. I'm supposed to care about her dying because I don't. And I knew the history of it, and I just didn't think. I think they could have done that in 10 minutes. If it was a shorter movie, maybe a masterpiece. But I'm not gonna call it a masterpiece. I'm gonna call it like a Nolan film, and I think he could use an editor. And I think what happens to directors when they gain when there's so few of them left, and he's still top 3 director in Hollywood, maybe top 2 without a doubt. But him and Tarantino both get a little self-indulgent now and could use trimming it down. I think it would have been a much better 2-hour film. I understand it's about Oppenheimer. Me personally, I wanted a little more science in it instead of just like a bowl of freaking marbles explaining the bomb. Come on. But the performances were great. It was cool picking out all the actors. It was like, oh, Drake and Josh guy, and guy from Diary from a Wimpy Kid and stuff. It was Guy Forville, like that was fine. And dude, the theater was packed. I saw it at Comic-Con, right? So me and Paulie and Quarterback Garrett were like last minute, we're like, hey, let's go see Oppenheimer. And we couldn't find anything within 20 miles. So we had to drive 20 miles damn near to the Mexican border to go see Oppenheimer in separate seats at like 9:00. And it was packed. So people are liking it. And it's extraordinary for a rated R movie that's 3 hours long. That shows you the power of Nolan, even off of Tenet. And quite frankly, I don't think he's been great since Inception. But Gary Oldman as Truman, he's like, what the hell?
That was a fucking random one.
Remember that?
I know because I was looking at him, I was like, that looks a bit like Gary Oldman, but like I can't quite be sure because like I don't know if he gained weight and there was loads of makeup on him, the hair was different and stuff. It's just like, damn, that was impressive that he can inhabit a role like that. Just before I go on, actually, I want to draw attention to the epic Ken chat that's going on. It's like, we've got all this. We've got
Ken Noble.
Ken years in Tibet. A few good Ken. Ken go Unchained. Eat Ken Love. What else have we got here? The Last Ken Fighter.
Oh my God.
Ken X. Jurassic Ken. Reservoir Kens.
Ken things I hate about you. You got to do that.
Oh my God.
Beautiful.
Lord of the Kens. There we go.
Ken 2. Hashtag Ken 2.
Oh my God.
That's a good one, chat.
Wait.
Like that.
Mortal Ken Bat.
Wow.
Step for 10.
This is gonna go on forever in chats now. You know that, right?
Legally Ken.
I can't help it. It's so good.
It's gonna bleed into other live streams.
The Ken Combat.
Go on forever. I love it.
Wrath of Ken, not bad.
The round
Super
Ken.
chats.
That's very good.
All right. Wait. Anyway, back to the serious movie chat. Come on, we're serious movie reviewers here. No, I agree on the. I will say about this movie. One, the IMAX showings in my area were fucking all sold out. Like every single one was booked out. I've never seen that before. But two, I mean, some of the scenes, like the Trinity test, when the bomb goes off.
Yeah.
It's one of the only times in a cinema I've actually jumped in my seat.
Oh my gosh.
Because it gets it very accurate. The whole the delay between the blast and the actual sound of it.
Sound wave. That was really well done.
The anticipation of it was just excellent.
Yep.
Because the filming of it is just cinematic beauty. Like I will say this about Nolan, he can frame a scene brilliantly.
And I didn't mind the establishing shots, by the way. I know some people have complained about that.
I feel like those are almost necessary for such a momentous occasion.
There's just some really bad reviewers out there. And Oppenheimer was the bad person. He was just a bad person. No, he was a human being. He was a complicated human being. What they were really trying to show, I thought there would be more black and white, to be honest with you. Okay, because the black and white was the objective and the color was the subjective. There was a lot of subjective, and I think they were really taking it towards Oppenheimer. Was this complicated but naive guy?
I think he genuinely believed that if he told the truth, he would be treated fairly. And it's like, nah, you're not living in that world anymore.
No.
But
he also hung out with a lot of communists.
He did, yeah. The movie plays it really coy about how involved he was. It just kind of frames him as like, I'm interested in a wide variety of political views, and I don't really subscribe to any of them. And you think, well, okay, fair enough. He's an inquiring mind. That makes sense for him. I think probably the real Oppenheimer was a bit more involved in that. But yeah, the movie doesn't go into it too much. I pointed this out in my review, actually. I felt like as a character, I didn't really know him any better by the end of the film than I did at the beginning. He's always this aloof, sort of mysterious figure that like you don't quite know what's going on in his head. And I guess it's an intentional choice. Like Nolan perhaps wanted to keep him a little bit vague and let you make your own choices about him.
He was a Ken-munist.
Now that could make
Oh,
sense though
God.
that it was intentional because when I had watched like a little bit of a
Jesus
documentary about him before I saw the movie, and I knew about like the Apple incident, and so when that happened right off the bat, I was like, oh, we're not going to hero worship nor really condemn this guy. Like we're going to try and show him just as he was, as a complicated person. But yeah, it didn't really lean in and tell you anything about Oppenheimer and what he thought.
But the movie never really goes into the moral question as well of over building the bomb. Like I know it has him question it later on in the movie, and it's pretty much dismissed by Truman as like, well, I dropped the bomb, you didn't, you just built the thing.
Yeah.
But it would have been, I don't know, it would have been interesting to get a little bit more insight into that because there must have been discussions like that on the Manhattan Project. Like, hey, this is going to incinerate tens of thousands of people. Are we really sure we want to do this? Because this seems horrible.
And Nolan purposefully left out the interview where he says, "I have become death," but they repurposed that in a sex scene.
That was weird.
That was weird.
Yeah.
Like,
Am I the only one as well
that become death, the destroyer of worlds?
Am I the only one that thought the sex scene was just awkward as fuck? It's like an android or an AI wrote a sex scene between two. Like it's like the parameters were two very intelligent humans have sex, and it's like, how do we frame this? Because they don't talk to each other like people do.
No.
Nolan is a bit robotic in all of his movies with certain things.
Yeah, I feel like Nolan movies, they don't really talk like how people do anyway.
No.
Regardless.
And this is where his shortcomings, I think, as doing the whole human thing start to show.
Doing the whole human thing.
That's his problem. Like, he just doesn't know how to do that. But, he made the conscious choice to have a romantic subplot in this movie and to have sex scenes. And things like that have to be handled really well. Like, you have to get the kind of raw passion and emotion or, like, the deep-seated feelings between two people that you can work into your story and bring it forward. And it's like he just doesn't know how to do it. He doesn't know how human beings fuck and get together. Like, he just doesn't get it. It's so weird to see it. It's like they're sitting there like both butt naked on their chairs, and like they're just trading intellectual quips. They're speaking in a very flat, monotone way. They're not really expressing any emotion, and I just thought, who in the whole history of humanity has acted like that, apart from Christopher Nolan? Like, it's just so weird. Like, I think that's his response to like the criticism that his movies get. He's probably aware now that people say, your movies are very great, but they're very clinical and soulless, and you need a bit more humanity in them. And it's like somewhere in his database in his head, he's like, well, humans enjoy procreation, so if I have a scene of procreation in this movie, that will please the humans.
I want to ask everybody, besides like Gary was saying, the Florence Pugh scenes, besides her scenes, where did this movie require 8R rating? Take out her scenes, there's nothing R that this film
needs. A lot of F-bombs. You're only allowed one if it's a PG-13.
Yeah.
They're not even that needed, really. You could probably substitute them.
Because we all know that R-rated films generally don't make as much as PG-13, except for like Deadpool or something, or a Joker. But,
Did you see the Middle Eastern version of this where Florence Pugh, like that scene where she's on a chair, they fucking CGI'd a dress onto her?
Wait, did they CG a dress onto Oppenheimer as well?
I don't know. Maybe a pair of Y fronts or something. Like,
damn, that'd be funny.
It's just like he's in long johns for no reason. But yeah, like it didn't feel like it added a whole lot to the story.
Yeah.
And like normally I'm all in favor of TNA in my movies, but in this case it's just like it felt weirdly out of place and just kind of gratuitous. I just didn't see how they needed it. So yeah, you probably could have done without that. But then if you cut that out, Florence Pugh's character doesn't have a whole lot going on. Like, she doesn't do a whole lot in the movie.
Exactly.
Yeah. But again, same deal with Emily Blunt's character. She's a fantastic actress, and I like what she does in this movie. But it's like it doesn't know where to take her as a character. There's she and Oppenheimer get married. They have a baby. She very quickly is shown to be struggling as a mother. You know, she starts drinking. She's not that interested in looking after
They
the
give
kids.
away
She's
their
just-
baby to a communist to raise
Only for a little while. They get it back.
Yeah, it
Yes.
is not even presented as this heart-wrenching thing. It's just like, this
No, it's
baby
like,
is
please take
hard to
baby.
look after.
I
Please
need
take baby.
science.
Because, like, for him, it's like, okay, fine, I'm working on literally the most important project in the whole history of the human race. In her case,
Exactly.
it's like, what the fuck is your excuse? You're not doing anything. You just can't be bothered. It's like, oh, okay, fine. Yeah, fair enough.
Got an intense book club that she's a part of, and you are undermining that right now.
Yeah.
I felt
I mean, I
like
could
Florence
get it if
Pugh's
she was
character.
What's that?
Oh,
sorry?
go ahead, Drinker.
No, I was going to say I could get it if she was also a scientist on the Manhattan Project, but it's like,
Exactly.
yeah, you're not really got much going on here. But again, you could do something with that character where it's like, if this was just purely a work of fiction, you could say, well, okay, she's jealous of the fact that he's got purpose in his life and he's pursuing this grand, project, that's going to change the fate of the human race. And maybe she wants something like that, but she can't because she's constrained by her role as a mother and all the rest of it. But the movie doesn't really go down that road. It
No.
it kind of takes you to an end point,
And it was during the
takes you-
subjective part, so that part was all subjective anyway. We're not sure if it actually happened. I guess we know they gave away their kid. I mean, like, that shit happened. I mean, it does, but it's horrible. It's freaking terrible.
So all
especially
about
when,
sharing, aren't they?
yeah, she just
Come on,
wanted to
Ken.
get home and drink.
I felt like
I can
Florence
relate.
Pugh's character existed just to like reinforce Emily Blunt's kind of stand by your man story, which is really all she had.
Yeah.
But like the moment when when Florence Pugh's character dies and Cillian Murphy is, he's like out in the woods and crying, and she comes and like shakes him and basically tells him like, get your ass up, you have a
Don't be a
job to do.
bitch. Yeah.
Yeah, don't be a little bitch. Like, you're not going to make us feel bad for you. You have something to do. I thought that was really good, but yeah, her character arc is basically like her ability to like stand by Oppenheimer the entire time, and that's it.
Yeah.
And that's like the only reason Florence Pugh's character really existed in real life. So,
She
that's
did.
why she's in
I'm
the
surprised
movie.
people aren't complaining that they've fridged her for Oppenheimer.
He's right, Florence Pugh is real. She's not CG. I
She's
don't know.
not CG.
She exists.
Those
Her
boobs were
boobs
definitely real as well.
Those were
Yeah.
real boobs.
Yeah, and I was almost shocked at like, holy shit, a movie that we're making nowadays has tits in it. Like, I can't believe this is actually happening.
And they made it the most sterile thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Like, damn, dude.
That's right.
You could make tits like IKEA instructions. Well done.
It's not
I'll give
wrong.
Nolan credit. He decided to write this one on his own, though.
He didn't use his bro. I think
Nope,
he's
he did
good
it.
with his brother. I think his brother is terrible with his wife. Not Nolan's wife, but with Jonah's wife, Lisa Joy.
Oh yeah, didn't she take over Westworld?
She took over Westworld.
Oh,
And that was the point where Westworld became fucking
And they're
crap.
doing Fallout
Wow.
right now. Those two are doing Fallout. for
Fallout?
Amazon.
Oh, fuck.
With the female lead, by the way.
Of course.
Oh, thank God.
Thank God.
I was getting
thank
worried
God.
there, yeah.
I totally meant is thank God. But
Yeah,
no,
sorry. I
I
feel like
mean, we
MauLer,
did-
we're not doing a great job of selling you on Oppenheimer, but there are some genuinely fantastic moments. in
There
the
are,
movie
yeah.
as well.
Like it's
Well, then, share some of your favorite parts, Lance. More than, just
The
an
middle
actor's
part.
performance.
Matt Damon is good in it.
Matt Damon's
yeah.
the one character that actually talks and acts like a human being
Yeah,
and not a
he does.
robot.
Well, the rest are scientists. They're a little bit
Yeah,
they're a little bit different to us normal folk.
You can sort of get that, and like, yeah, he's the one that's got actual warmth, and he makes a few jokes occasionally. There's just a tiny bit of humor that's allowed to creep into the script. It's like, holy shit, you're blowing the doors of innovation off their hinges there, Chris. But yeah, I'm glad you did it.
I thought they did a really good job showing the government using its own compartmentalization and its loopholes to railroad somebody and be authoritative. I mean, that's what they did.
That's never happened before, Gary. I
That's
don't know what
never,
you're talking
it's not
about.
happened.
No, no.
Never.
Pure fiction right there.
Right? I thought it did a very good job doing that.
I think it perhaps overplays how close the Germans were to making their own bomb, because I don't think they were ever that serious about it. But like, the movie kind of hypes up the threat of that more than probably reality.
I was also genuinely impressed that like They managed to, even though this doesn't happen, they still managed to build tension out of the fact that just maybe when that bomb goes off, it's going to destroy the world. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah, like Matt Damon, he's like, what are the chances? Well, they're pretty low. Okay, how low? Like pretty low. Matt Damon's
Near
like, how
zero.
about
Yeah,
zero? What make you feel better? Zero.
Yeah, 0 would be nice.
My probably my favorite scene though was shortly after the bomb goes off and Oppenheimer is kind of visualizing it. I don't want to say too much because honestly, it's worth just experiencing without really knowing. But he's basically envisioning, what happened to the people there, and it's told very well. It's an incredibly powerful scene.
Because despite what the intellectual powerhouse of Grace Randolph would have you believe, you don't need to actually see the Hiroshima bomb go off on Hiroshima and set people on fire and flatten buildings and stuff. The movie does a very good job of making you, how can I put it, hinting at the human cost of this and the impact it has on the people who created it, rather than just straight up showing you.
Well, it puts you in Oppenheimer's shoes a little bit, right? I mean, he's left in the dark. He makes a point of that. He wants to know if the bomb's being dropped, and he hears it over the radio like everybody else.
Yeah,
that definitely takes a toll on him.
Yeah, and he gets an idea of it. He starts envisioning it when he's giving his speech after the bomb's created.
Yeah, and the movie, I like the cinematography in moments like that where you'll start to see the surroundings, like the walls and stuff around him shaking, or like you'll suddenly get a flash of white, like the bomb going off and stuff, like when he's put under a great deal of stress, or where he's imagining the damage that this has done. And it's pretty well handled, I would say.
I'd say that's where Nolan's rather choppy editing plays really well. Whereas, like Gary was saying, in the early, first half hour of the show or the movie, where Oppenheimer would be, they talk about him envisioning the world underneath this world, and it cuts to just a whole bunch of flashing lights and rings and whatever. And it's like, I know you're trying to show something here, but it's just a lot of light and noise and not a lot of substance.
That's literally the inside of Christopher Nolan's brain. It's just like insane shit just going on constantly. Yeah. Just before we go on as well, I have to show this one.
Chris Nolan is a very smart man, and he likes to let us know.
Unforgive.
Awesome. One of the things I caught at the very end, when it shows all the missiles flying up through the sky, and it's basically alluding, hey, we just started the Cold War. I thought that was pretty good too. Nolan's a Cold War kid. I'm a Cold War kid. That's what we grew up in. We grew up in that constant state of paranoia. Life could end tomorrow. Duck and cover in our freaking classrooms and stuff. So I think he got that point across subtly. Actually, I thought that was pretty good towards the end.
Yeah,
but
I think it did.
Tons of filler.
I think it's interesting because the sort of payoff ultimately for the movie and how the film ends is him pondering, well, what have we set in motion here by creating that bomb? Exactly. The Soviets are going to want to build their own, and it's just going to be an arms race, and we're going to live now with that sword of Damocles like hanging over all of our heads because of what we've done here.
Yeah.
The problem that I have narratively is that question is the same question that he was pondering an hour earlier after the bomb was dropped on Nagasaki, and it's like you've kind of just circled back to where you came from, and not accomplished a huge amount in that time. Like, there's definitely been things that have happened, but narratively, I don't think we needed an extra hour of screen time to get to that point, which is a shame.
Yeah, you're right.
But yeah, it's Christopher Nolan. Like, he can't just tell a straight up story. It has to be overcomplicated. It has to be over intellectualized, and it has to be told non chronologically.
Wait, you didn't like Tenet?
I despise that movie.
What? Does anyone have really loud music to play over while Drinker tries to give us his review?
Thank you for saying that.
And that happens at the end during the whole crescendo scene at the very end.
Yes.
I was sitting in the theater, but the music got really loud, talking over, and I'm like, I can't hear what he's saying. But it was pretty good for most of the movie.
Yeah, it was much better than in Tenet, but every other movie is.
Yeah.
This movie is a million times easier to follow than Tenet was.
Yeah.
that movie I could probably watch again right now and still not really understand.
Too
how it
smart for you.
functions.
That's all I'm hearing.
Yep.
Could well be, yeah. I'm just a mortal man, a drunk man, and I don't operate on the same kind of crazy quantum realm that Christopher Nolan does. But the problem is the majority of the human race is like me as well,
And that's why Barbie's doing so well.
Yeah.
Sad but true.
it really is opposite ends of the spectrum as far as cinema goes, isn't it?
Good old
Yep.
Barbie.
Drinker, I have to ask: was the pun of drunk Ken purposeful, or was that just a happy little accident?
Nothing is accidental in the drinker's life. I was actually just going to merge them together and just put drunken. Someone did suggest it, actually. The guy who wanted this, all the Kens. I thought it was a really good idea, so I was like, yeah, I'm going to go with that. That's pretty good. But hey, on the plus side, we've got Snow White coming out.
Oh, Christ.
And Rachel Zegler, the star of it, shared her thoughts on what this movie is going to be. And it's funny because this interview that she did with Gal Gadot actually came out several months ago, but it's just suddenly rose to prominence recently, and everyone's cottoned onto it. And well, I'll let you listen yourselves, and you can form your own opinions. Now, she's talking about the fact that the original Snow White movie, which is considered as not a modern classic, sorry, an all-time animated classic. And one of the most influential animated movies of all time. But yeah, we're going to do it better in the modern age. So let's hear what she has
The
to
movie
say
that
about
made
it.
Disney.
Yeah, literally
yeah.
the animated film, their first one. But let's see what she got to say.
You said you were bringing a modern edge to it on stage. What do you mean by that?
I just mean that it's no longer 1937, and we absolutely wrote a Snow White that is
not going to be saved by the prince.
She's not going to be saved by the prince, and she's not going to be dreaming about true love. She's dreaming about becoming the leader she knows she can be, and the leader that her late father told her that she could be if she was fearless, fair, brave, and true. And so it's just a really incredible story for, I think, young people everywhere to see themselves in.
Snow White is running for president.
I'm launching my campaign.
God, that guy drives me nuts. Okay, so
that
people
voice,
know this
man.
is a 19th century fairy tale. Like Disney didn't come up with it, right?
It's the best way I can describe this, right? It's so creepy how they just all use the same terminology, the same words and stuff. Like it's like being strong, being a leader. People can see themselves represented on screen. It's like a bunch of androids that have all had the same firmware update at the same time, and it's like right,
And they're stuck on it.
upload sjw.exe, run, and like that's what you get.
And this is why the strike is a good thing.
Yeah.
Content creators, because I love those clips, but yeah, they're not going to be ruining movies for the next few months. It's freaking stupid. For one, unibrow there, girl, is supposed to be better looking than Gal Gadot. And Gal, just don't talk, sweetheart. Just don't say, yeah, man, it doesn't get saved by the man in this one. Yeah, because that works so well for Little Mermaid. But hey, guys, Barbie's changed everything. Snow White's going to do great now.
I will say
I'm just going to bring this up, but I'll pause it. Like, I don't want to play the video again. I just want to compare the two. Hold on.
Gal with coming in with that line, by the way, it felt like a moment of her being like, that was it, right? I was supposed to say that? That's how that works?
Yeah. With the marketing
doing this properly? Like,
it's the way Gal's looking at her as well. Like, you're a short, dumpy, like, simpleton. It's like, I'm not sweating you. Like, you are not the fairest in the land, I'm afraid.
No.
But man, yeah. So essentially, what you've got right with this movie is, as I understand it, you've got Snow White, who is no longer Snow White. You've got 7 dwarves who are no longer dwarves; they are magical forest creatures. And you've got the story of the search for true love, which is no longer about the search for true love. So maybe you guys can educate me. How exactly is this Snow White now? It just doesn't feel like this has got any connection.
Agency. Okay. That's better than love. She can go out and have a career.
Yeah, that is more important.
As a Snow White. I'm surprised they kept white in the title.
Exactly.
That's
Snow Woman.
Funny. He says that in front of Gal Gadot, and it's like, think of the interactions with Wonder Woman and men in Gal Gadot in Wonder Woman with men being the first and second one. She's basically head over heels desperate for Steve, for both of them. You know, like, it's kind of funny to think about. I don't know if she said, like, we're moving on from those shitty movies, right, gal? She'd be like, oh, well, I don't know. I guess people hated the second one, so.
Yeah, I love the meme where they show like Snow White and the evil queen looking, Gal Gadot looking down at her. Like, so the story of Snow White is the queen is jealous of Snow White, the fairest and most beautiful woman in the land. That's what Gal Gadot is looking down at. Like, sure.
Yeah, I don't think she's got any worries there. But yeah, man, I just think if you're not going to stick with any, really, of the aspects of the original movie that made it such a classic, what's the point in even doing it?
Because you can use the name to hopefully make
well,
money.
yeah, I guess that's it's purely
people
financial.
recognize it. They want to stand on the shoulders of giants while at the same time stabbing that giant in the eye and saying, "I hate you."
It's content to be released, probably coinciding. This was their idea. This thing's gonna bomb like mad.
Oh yeah,
but it's content to be released coinciding with the end of a fiscal quarter or whatever. For the stockholders, that's pretty much their entire approach to this. This thing was put in development a couple of years ago, and in 2019, Disney had 7 movies that hit $1 billion, or over 2 years, or something like that.
Yeah, I think it was 7 in 2019.
Extraordinary number of movies hit $1 billion that were mostly garbage. So they're still going off of that from 2 years. This is why they can't turn on a dime. So they have to release this. And they have to put this shit out. Whether it changes or not, I have no idea. What was the philosophy behind it? Everybody smoking crack? Well, that would be a good explanation. I think
we'd end up with better shit with that.
The problem is something like Barbie now is just going to reinforce for them, like, oh yeah, this is the way we need to go.
Yep.
Well, they might want to rethink the marketing strategy then, because like trailers are not the only thing that's marketing. Like, this is marketing. Giving interviews is marketing.
It'd be funny if they like, what have we learned? Lies.
Yes, I mean, yes, because with Barbie, whenever someone would even mention that it was like a feminist film, even feminist, which is just like whatever, they would like put out a fire. Like, someone would release a statement. Like, no,
Mattel was. Yeah, Mattel was like, no, shh, there's no feminism in this one. It's for everyone. Yeah. It worked, obviously, for them, but like, I mean, now that movie's got so much momentum, it's still kicking ass. You know, because everyone knows what it is now. There's no hiding it.
Well, because like in the theater I was in, I know if you're outside of America, it's not normal for the crowd to actually interact with the movie. But in America, like people clap at the end of movies and cheer and all this stuff. And like when that woman gave that speech that felt like it was 5 minutes long about the impossibility of being a woman, my theater like erupted in claps.
God.
And there was a woman behind me going, "You tell him, girl."
I think I would have cringed right out of my own body at that point. Like, that's just
half the shit she says is just living life as anyone.
So the chat, it's IMDb, but the chat mentioned something. I'm like, I gotta check that out. Greta Gerwig wrote the script for Snow White.
I've heard this.
I think so. Yeah.
Rip.
Oh, geez.
I heard she's
become like the female Ryan
She's
Johnson.
the new It girl. Oh. Yeah.
I heard she's doing Narnia or something. Somebody said she's doing the new Narnia.
Yeah,
show.
she's doing Narnia.
Come on.
She'll make it the Golden Compass.
What's the name of the actress for Snow White that they've cast? Because she was in Shazam 2, right?
Rachel Zegler.
Yeah, like where does she come from? Why are people pushing her into movies or Hollywood?
She was in West Side Story.
Yeah, she good.
She could sing. I don't remember her acting particularly.
But she in?
This is because the same story with Halle Bailey, wasn't it? It's like she's a really good singer, not necessarily an actress. That's why she was in.
They've encountered this problem in a lot of their live action remakes, where they hire singers and then the acting parts suffer miserably.
Yeah,
Maria's not exactly demanding.
It's kind of like hiring a model for acting. Sometimes you can luck out. Sometimes you get Gal Gadot. That's controversial here. We'll find out.
I'm just gonna say as well, like I hope Gal Gadot doesn't have to sing in this movie, because I know I cut down that interview there to like the most relevant section, but there's quite a long bit where she talks, and like, good lord, she has a rough voice.
She was in Black Adam.
She was.
She was. That's true. Yeah. She was the I forget the name. It was some kind of like wind person, right?
I think it was supposed to be Isis.
Was that someone else? Either
Cyclone,
way.
No, Cyclone was the girl who was in STD. So I think.
Was she in Shazam too?
She was in Black. Oh no, Shazam 2. Sorry, Shazam.
Yeah.
Oh,
Black
right.
Adam.
Yeah, no, because I mentioned it
Shitty
earlier. I thought
DC movies that came out in the last year, they're all kind of bleeding in together.
they do kind of bleed together.
My bad. Yeah.
Funny on the Kenneth on casting, by the way.
Kenneth.
I like this one as well.
On the note of casting, because I don't watch the Witcher show, but I saw there was an article about a quote from, I don't know if it was a showrunner or someone involved, but they said like casting, I think it was Yennefer, I don't know, but they said
yes.
we wanted to break beauty standards. And then
Yeah,
someone
by
responded,
casting
like,
a stunningly beautiful actress.
Well, like, did you try to just call her ugly by saying
they did? I mean, that's what you would interpret it. By the way, she's hot. She's
beautiful, yeah.
like Yennefer, but she's hot. And just on that note, I've breezed. I'm gonna watch them again, but I saw the final 3 episodes.
Oh boy.
Oh, dude. Henry is completely sidelined in the last 2 episodes. I don't think he's in the penultimate episode at all.
Oh no.
So remember at the end of season 1 where he was injured in the final episode and he spent the time in a cart? That's essentially the final 3 episodes.
Oh Christ.
Gets in a fight, he gets injured, and he's out of the fucking show. So bad.
That is, and they were hyping this up as like, oh man, he gets such an excellent exit from the show, like it's handled seamlessly. And the way you're describing it, it's like he gets injured, like I have to go away and die now. I might see you later in a different form.
Which happens in the book, right? He gets injured in the book, but this is where they pick and choose, like, oh, we'll be book accurate when the Witcher gets injured and he's not in anything. That's when we'll decide to pay attention to being accurate to the book.
Accurate when it's useful to them.
When it's useful to us. It's so bad.
Are they definitely going ahead with season 4?
Yeah.
On hold for now, surely.
I mean, obviously, right now it's on
I wouldn't
hold,
say anything's definite right now.
Because the strikes, to get things started back up once the strikes are over, could just cost the projects entirely. It's like, no, fuck this, just cut it out.
Well, I mean, they suspended George R. R. Martin's contract. I mean, everybody's contract suspended, by the way, because of the strike. So that's everybody. George R. R. Martin's going to get his deal back when this is over. So not to worry there, but there will be a lot of others where they can just use that force majeure and just, which means that we can just end it. And that will happen a lot, but they got to kind of wait till it's over.
Well, to be honest, Gary, half these fucking projects, they use that as a happy excuse, right? They'd be like, fuck, great, we don't have to waste our money and time on this thing anymore.
I mean, like, what's the word? Like, how long could this actor strike realistically go on for?
Actors, I thought it would end sooner, but it doesn't look like it could go a couple months with the actors. With the writers, end of the year.
Right.
Yeah, people are calling each other's bluff on this one, which didn't The Rock recently donate a shit ton to the actors one, so they'll be able to go for a bit.
Yeah, there's like the straight up strategy for the studio seems to be like, we're just going to starve them out.
There's a woman who goes to my gym who works for Sony, and she knows what I do. And she was teasing me recently. She's like, "I hope you have a backup plan," as like alluding like you're not going to be reviewing any movies at some point soon here.
I don't, dude. If there was
like, we've got a backlog of like 10,000 movies.
I was like, it's fine. I just did like video essay.
We survived a whole open bar on The Mummy. The Rock.
Yes,
back to back.
I would happily do that.
Don't you worry about me, sweetheart, or worry about us. We'll be fine. Rings of Power, locked and loaded. It's happening.
Listen, Gary,
it's pure golden chat tonight, by the way.
Oh, good.
Bag of beer.
No, we're getting House of the Dragon. That's still happening. Rings of Power is still happening. Got the Marvels coming out. Well, I'm fine.
I think there's rumors of that potentially getting delayed. Is there any veracity to that?
Well, I was going to get into that actually.
Because if like we should go real quick because if that gets delayed and Dune gets delayed, that tells you that the strike is going to go for a very long time.
Oh yeah.
Because the Marvels is scheduled for November, and so that's like several months away, and they are potentially saying we're going to delay this because the stars can't do any publicity for it, they can't promote it. And so it makes more sense to delay it until next year. I would argue, like, having the stars that you've got and the subject matter of this movie, it'd probably be better if they weren't involved in the promotion. It would probably make more money for your movie if they just were out of it altogether. But apparently not. But it adds to this this feeling that movie is just doomed, because they have already released the teaser, they've released an official trailer, they've tried to build some kind of momentum behind it. They're releasing Ms. Marvel onto ABC to get it on network television, just so that people actually know who this character even is. And if they then delay it by several months after all that, they've lost all of that. All that momentum is gone.
You need to have watched Captain Marvel, WandaVision, Miss Marvel, and Secret Invasion to watch the Marvels. So Miss Marvel is going to be released on American television. Not sure if it's going to be in your guys' any you foreigners, but on American on Saturday night at 11 o'clock, which is like the dead zone, which is hilarious.
I saw Secret Invasion was on Hulu too.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. And I do believe Disney got in a little trouble doing that dual, like streaming it on Hulu and Disney Plus and on terrestrial television, and then fudging some numbers. And they're still in trouble for that. I think that's still being worked out. Warner Brothers got busted for it as well, fudging their numbers, basically. They're fudging their numbers. Nobody's watching this crap.
Mentioning the lowest rated episode of MCU history of all time is the latest one from Secret Invasion.
Is the finale of Secret Invasion, because I'll be real, Secret Invasion wasn't the worst thing I ever saw from Disney Plus. It wasn't good, but it wasn't the worst thing I ever saw until the last episode, and I'm like, oh boy,
wow, the last one was pretty bad.
Thing I've ever seen. It really goes nuts at the end, and it's so fucking stupid.
And Gary, they did it again. Emilia Clarke, throughout all 6 episodes, they don't utilize her acting abilities at all. She's a blank, annoying, I'm a badass character.
Action star, like fundamentally misunderstanding what she even was in Game of Thrones. It was supposed to be paradoxical. Okay, it was supposed to be like this cute little wafy girl is the mother of dragons. She wasn't like out there like slaying people with the Dothraki. That's not what she was. So they completely they keep on. Did you see any difference between her and the show and Terminator at all? Like it was the same character, almost dressed the same when she was Sarah Connor.
Always does that blank, like I'm hard impression sort of thing to people in every scene. I'm like, that poor girl. She has some of the most emotive eyebrows in the history of human beings. They never get used.
They are a serious pair of eyebrows.
And the thing is, we're supposed to she's this big hard ass, and she's like 4'11". I mean,
and she looks
tiny cute thing running around.
Yeah, she looks soft as well. You don't look at her and think that's someone who's lived a life and she's tough as nails. It's like she's
looks like
pretty
she won't
and she's soft, and that's not the kind of role that she can play convincingly.
Yeah, because remember Linda Hamilton in Terminator 2? That was a woman that was kick ass and hold a gun.
Yeah. Well, apparently
the contrast of the waitress Sarah Connor, and then the next movie she's like freaking doing pull-ups.
Apparently there's a great story. I don't know if you saw that Arnold documentary on Netflix, but it's like they went out for dinner, like him and James Cameron and Linda Hamilton, and she was wearing a really dress that showed her arms off because she was really proud of how much she'd been working out, and Arnold's like, fuck, she's more cut than I am. God damn
it. She came across as the kind of woman that could kill your entire family. Maybe shoot them with a big old gun,
Yeah, that's right.
Not the kind of woman who would take your family out shopping.
Yeah.
So, I saw someone saying chat Emilia Clarke has a terrible agent compared to Haley Steinfeld's agent, and I couldn't agree more.
Yep.
Haley Steinfeld, she's Vi. She was Vi in Arcane. She was Gwen in the Spider-Verse movies. And she was
a voice actress.
She's also Kate Bishop in Hawkeye. She was in Ender's Game, however many years ago that was.
She's in Bumblebee too.
I liked it anyway, but Kate Bishop show sucked balls.
I mean,
hated it every second of it. She was.
I can't speak for Hawkeye. I very much enjoyed her in in Arcane as Vi. I thought she was great in that.
Oh yeah, really good.
Anson Mount has to fire his agent. That's he was on Hell.
Did you? I don't. Have you
Holy
been watching
shit,
Strange New World, like with the musical episodes?
I was gonna skip it, but dude, it's gotten like progressively worse with all the Spockisms they've done with the eating the bacon and then bringing in Lower Decks and then a musical episode. Is like, oh, I have to watch this now. I have to watch this disaster.
Because
I need to know
wasn't
what's
Strange
going
New
on.
World supposed to be the one that's like, okay, it's more in the spirit of old Trek. It's
That's-
more optimistic. We're going to take it more seriously. Like the actors and the characters are going to act like actual Starfleet officers.
You know-
and it just seems like now, nope.
But to be fair, they said that with everything they've produced. Like season 2 of Star Trek Discovery is going to be way more like Star Trek. No, season 3 is going to be way more. No, Picard season 1 is going to be way more like that. They literally said it before every damn season. Even Lower Decks, they tried to pull that crap. These are people who don't understand Star Trek, don't care to understand Star Trek, and all they're doing is riffing off older Star Trek, and it's terrible. They present Spock as being autistic, and then the butt of jokes.
I think that clip I saw where he was eating bacon and he was just. I know he'd been turned into a human or something.
Okay, it's not like you turn Spock into a human. He's half human. Okay,
Poor Gary.
Yeah.
God,
Poor Gary.
And it's just but what a way to denigrate a character. Let's just mock him. Let's just poke fun about the fact that he's normally so serious and so logical, and it's like, oh, he's eating bacon and he's just having a great time.
His Vulcan side isn't like born without emotion. That is a learned it's a discipline. It's a discipline.
Exactly.
It's not something they're just born without. It's so freaking retarded.
I was going to say as well. Oh, it's
Dances
moved past,
with
but yeah, someone pointing out in chat, Blue Collar Loser, he's up by several hundred subs already this evening.
Thanks.
Let's see if we can get him to 1,000. The link to his channel is in the chat. If you were inclined to subscribe to his channel, let's get him to 1K because I think we can do it this evening.
Being patient.
Yeah, we'll get there. I'm just looking at there's so much Ken chat going on tonight.
Did you want to
Ken Ross?
Drinker, did you want to know about anything to do with Secret Invasion? Because me and Gary did see it.
I mean, spill the beans, I suppose. Like, because I don't give a fuck where this show goes.
Pretty bad. I want
bad.
to give you guys a second to understand how that's possible. You know, like, wow, that it was going to be so great, right? Yeah, I know. Because Drinker, you told me that you were really excited to watch it. And you're going to wait until it was all out to then binge it twice in a row. Just so excited.
I couldn't get enough. Before you do spill the beans on that, though, unfortunately, Convict Ken has run out of time with us this evening. And he's going to have to move on to Pastors New.
MauLer will have to take it from me, but I have faith in you, my brother.
I'm not going to be detailed or very long about it. You know,
it's
you're
really
well known for your brevity,
bad.
MauLer.
And I'm watching it again for my review right now at double speed, and it's not helping.
I got to do it for fucking EFAP. You know what's funny at this point? Like, I'm the one who does all of that, rags and friggy. When they hear me say, I'm like, oh, I got to rewatch it. They're like, that's great that you're doing that. You go ahead. I'm like, I hate you guys.
Oh, I just make them do it.
Yeah,
That's what
I make them watch it. I make them watch it the one time. I don't think I have the heart to make them watch it twice and take thorough notes.
I want to say, Drinker, to Gary, thank you for playing Gollum. I loved watching those streams. It was so fun watching you play Gollum.
I was a master at that game. Are you kidding me?
Very good, yes.
Epic.
I was so good at it that I had restarted the game halfway through accidentally and played it through again.
I loved every second of it.
It's freaking. Well, we'll do it again. But hey, Drinker, I'm going to see you in a couple weeks, dude.
Yes, I'm going to meet up with you at Anime Matsuri. Looking forward to it, man.
Wow, weebs.
Yes.
I know. Yeah. There's no danger of me spending any money at this convention.
It's great because I know precisely fuck all about anime. So that's going to be interesting.
That's all right. Nick Ricada can show us the way. But it'll be fun. So we're going to be, I guess, I don't know, panel or something, or we'll be there. We'll be there.
We got panel. We got Friday Night Sites. We got
Friday Night Sites. We got a panel. We got all kinds of fun stuff. But guys, it was a pleasure talking to all of you and meeting you guys.
Awesome.
And congrats on 100K. You're going to get to 1,000 by the
Thanks,
end. Thanks,
dude. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Gary. I
And
appreciate it,
Samwise. Well, boy, Samwise. Well done on the video, by the way.
Thank you very much.
It's a pleasure, Mr.
Yes.
Gary.
It's great. It's always nice. I wish I could stay longer, but thanks for having me, guys. Hail chat. Keep the Kens going. It's great. Cheers.
Thanks, man.
See you, Gary.
Catch you
When Gary
later.
started.
Now there were 5 Kens remaining.
One
Yeah,
Ken
Mo,
down.
you were regaling us
Well,
with
so
your stories of.
Has anyone
Oh,
here
Christ.
subjected themselves to the torture, or am I the only one?
You are the only one, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jesus.
I've meant to get around to it to review it, but I think I'm going to end up deciding it's just not worth my time.
Well, so
I
you
got
must
there,
have
yeah.
heard. You must have heard some things going into this, right? I think, as much as I'm sure you guys do too, it's like, okay, so the universe is beset by a team of very, like, advanced alien race that can take the form of anyone, and they have intentions to take over the world. It's like, okay, sounds like it could be a cool thing. And then you're like, but it's the MCU. And you're like, oh, okay.
Was it-
well,
Shit.
Right off the bat, I had a question because the Skrulls were revealed to be the surprise good guys in Captain Marvel. So what about now? Why are they the bad guys now?
That's a great question you got there. So if you paid attention to Captain Marvel, I don't know why anyone would. Of course I did, because I'm a fool. But yeah, that film, you have explicit scenes of Fury and Captain Marvel saying, we're going to take care of you guys because you're the good Skrulls. And that was a big part of that movie, was like, oh my God, the Skrulls seem evil, but they're actually good. Only in this show, the Skrulls are evil. And it gets confusing if you remember Captain Marvel, which you never want to, but they're forcing us to now. And then the writers don't remember it either. But you're like, okay, fine, whatever. It's Fury. Fury's in all of it. We like Fury. We like Samuel Jackson. This should be great. So we start with them saying Fury's been he's disappeared for 2 years. No contact with anyone. It's like, what? That doesn't make any sense. That's already fucking confusing. What do you mean? And we basically find out across the season, I don't actually have anything to explain that to you. Like, I think they basically just imply that he was sad. He was sad from the blip. He thought of himself as like too sort of inefficient, incompetent to take on the powers of the universe. It's just like, no, that's not. You're thinking of someone else. That's not Nick Fury. Nick Fury would happily like shoot a pistol at Galactus. You just be like, fuck off.
Yeah.
Giant piece of shit. Like,
Yeah.
he doesn't. They basically try to rewrite the end of Infinity War. You know when he gets blipped in that, and it's kind of fun because he's like, oh, for fuck's sake. I think he says mother, but yeah. Really, because Infinity War for some reason got all the characters right, where Endgame something else happened. But that was exactly the way you'd expect Fury to get dusted, and I quite liked it, and it's fun. They've retconned it now so that he explicitly says, like, what was going through his mind in that moment? It was like fear, horror. Oh my God, this is it for me. Oh, and that makes him think existentially about the power that he has versus all the powers of the world. It's like, that never fucking happened. And I guess he got depressed and stayed up in his spaceship for 2 years. And so when he finally comes back down, everything's gone to shit. All the Skrulls have betrayed Fury and now is trying to sabotage basically all the political positions of the world. We find out from Talos that he smuggled in 1 million Skrulls 15 years ago, and he didn't tell and he didn't tell Fury about it. Why didn't he tell Fury about it? Well, because Fury, at the time of just after Captain Marvel, decided what he should do with the Skrulls he had from that film. If you remember them, Talos and his family and stuff, he should put them to work. And he basically says, and it's a really fucking awkward scene, he's like, oh, I'll set you guys up housing. Maybe you could do a few favors for me, where you spy on people throughout the world and you get me information I need on people, like blackmail or just coverage, data, blah, blah, blah. It's just like, man, that feels really fucked up. They're like, you have to be my personal agents, and in exchange, I'll find a place that you can live. Like, okay, they're like aliens that need help. But okay, sure. And that's when you get the big old reveal. I think that's only episode 2 that Ben Mendelsohn's Talos basically says every single great achievement in Fury's life was the Skrulls, and that's all the work they did. None of it was Fury. Fury was just some pencil pushing like idiot in S.H.I.E.L.D., and then the Skrulls made him rise up to the level of Fury that we know. And when you watch it, you're just like, fuck off.
Why?
Again.
Why do they want to destroy his character so badly? Like, what does that achieve long term?
I mean, it's the same for the rest of them, right? Like, I actually thought they wouldn't do that with Fury if they have his own show, but like, he starts out pathetic and weak. And all of his achievements from the past have now been rewritten. It's just like, fucking hell.
Why does this just sound like the plot of Winter Soldier? Like, where it was, instead of S.H.I.E.L.D., you have whatever Skrulls now. Like they're infiltrated like everything.
Oh
Kind of
yeah,
like-
no, it is. Yeah, instead of Hydra, you just have Skrulls.
Way weird.
Oh yeah. Instead of
This-
Hydra.
The reason we find out that they betrayed the whole thing was that the leader Gravik was upset with Fury for having like turned them into agents, and that he failed to get them a home. And of course, you find out. Well, you guys might think it's like, how could he fail?
Why is this put on a non-spacefaring race to find a home for the Skrulls?
The thing is, we had plenty.
It'd be like if I went to a fucking tribe in Borneo and said, "Hey, can you fix my iPhone for me? It's busted." It's like they're not equipped to help you with this problem.
Well, that's the thing, though. Fury and Captain Marvel promised they would. We don't get any word on Captain Marvel. We don't know why she failed them. I don't know if that's going to come up in the fucking Marvel movie.
Clearly it's not her fault, though.
No, that doesn't really come up. But Fury basically says, like, "Yep, it was my bad. I fucked up. I couldn't find you a home. Rip." And it's like, guys, you got to remember the fucking universe you're in. It's like one of the suggestions I had, of course, was Nowhere with the Guardians. They could easily move in there. There's actually a lot of children there now that need, guidance. The Skrulls would be perfect. They could go there, especially if the Kree are after them. The Guardians will protect them from the Kree. But no, we don't remember that. That was a different movie, so fuck that. But then, a lot of people have cited, and it's so awkward. Do you remember the planet Thanos was on at the beginning of Endgame? It was plentiful. He was farming on it. There's no one there. Just send them there. Just drop
that
them
seems
off.
like an ideal place to go.
But no, Fury says nope, no planets, none, nope, none of them would work.
Couldn't find a single one anywhere.
Didn't get you a place to live. And
How many Skrulls are there?
I don't even. No, because that's the thing. The ones that Fury has to take care of, it's like 100 or something.
Oh, so you could pick a small town in Nebraska and just chuck them there.
Well, that's the thing. They could go to New Asgard, right? That's where all the aliens are currently living on Earth. Why not?
To Los Alamos.
It's not like Thor would turn them away. And so it's just so fucking confusing. It's like Falcon and the Winter Soldier, where it's like, oh, I can't get any money. It's like, what about these billion of options you have to get revenue? And it's like, nah. Oh, okay.
The bank turned me down for a loan. Well, I guess there's no other option.
I thought Tony paid for everything. No, he's a scumbag. He doesn't pay for anything.
There's a super chat here that seems quite relevant from Boozy McShotster. Says, I don't know what's worse, the characters being portrayed as a loser or the actor that's desperate enough to for work to lower themselves and play a role like this. And it's very true. Like, Samuel L. Jackson can't be desperate for work. Like, damn, man.
Yeah.
You really wish he'd pushed back. You really wish a lot of them would have, instead of just being like, yeah, fine. Because you worry, and I feel like this is inevitable, that Chris Evans will come back to portray Captain America, and he's going to be shit.
Definitely.
It's gonna be really shit.
I'll turn him into a fucking idiot now.
I do not want to see that.
Feels like an inevitability. But yeah, you'd think Samuel Jackson would be like, oh, no, I don't think we should write it so that Fury has no achievements and that he's depressed. I feel like that's doesn't seem quite right. You'd wish Harrison Ford would have done it for Han Solo and Indiana Jones. You'd wish, that Mark Hamill would have done it for Luke, but I mean, he kind of did. But he couldn't do anything about it.
He didn't push back against it. It's more like he bitched about it afterwards, and then they had a phone call with him.
He bitched during filming, from what I've heard. He's just Ryan is like, it's my film, it's my way. And I think Mark assumed, all right, I'm sure you're onto something, and I just don't get it. A lot of actors do, and it's like, well, sometimes intuition can be trusted. But anyway, of course, the insurgent million Skrulls for 15 years have infected basically all of the high political positions. You've got like the British Prime Minister as a Skrull, I think the head of NASA. I can't remember exactly which ones. I forget which organizations in total, but they're all Skrulls, and it's like, shit, man, we kind of lost them, did we? Like, it feels like it's over. They've got access to Rhodey as well. Rhodey's a Skrull.
See,
oh my god,
as world changing as this within the MCU, it really feels like it should be a movie. Like, this is major stuff.
Yeah, Secret Invasion was a huge comic event.
A Disney Plus show that like nobody's watching. Like, so many people are just going to be fucking clueless about this stuff. Like, if this is relevant to the Marvels, there's going to be so much stuff that comes up in that movie. People are going to be like, what the fuck even is this? Where did this come from?
It's been a meme now for the past like 5 years that every single MCU movie adds an organization that was in control of everything and you didn't know for this whole time. And it's like, you didn't seriously add another one. It's like, yes, and we also changed the history of a character to make him a loser. You're like, again? Like, fucking calm down. We have one project that's normal.
It's totally is that whole sketch from Father Ted where it's like, that's what we've got after 5 hours of brainstorming. Another mass. You know,
Jesus.
We've got another secret organization and another character that's a loser now.
Gravik is the leader of the angry mad Skrulls that think Fury failed him, and because Fury failed him, he wants to like kill all of humanity. It's a very good motivation that makes complete sense, and I follow it entirely. He wants to blow up Earth, I think, and it's like, don't you want to live on Earth?
Now we want to live.
Like, don't you want to take advantage of our institutions?
Aren't they powered by radiation or something weird like that?
Yeah, but like,
dumb.
You don't want to blow up everything on Earth, right? You want to like use some of our structures. We make some good stuff, but I mean, if you want to just nuke everything, so
you're probably going to want an ecosystem that allows you to
a little bit
eat stuff. Yeah,
and he's also building like a big machine that creates super Skrulls, and you might be thinking, what's that? And then I would tell you, well, you remember the Extremis lads from Iron Man 3? The ones who would like chop off their arm and it would regrow or whatever?
Yep.
So you got that. You remember,
Try to forget them.
Remember good old Groot, don't you? With his little tree powers. And maybe a few others. Well, if you step into this machine, it'll give you those abilities. Just straight up.
Oh, God.
This is like what's it called? The Mandalorian season 3, where you've got Giancarlo Esposito's character, where he's like, I've injected my clones with the Force. One thing I didn't have.
After they're all already dead. This is the only time I've ever seen a villain soliloquize to the hero after his plan has already failed.
So, what he wants from Fury is the harvest. And you're thinking to yourself, what the fuck is that? It's a vial of DNA. What's in this DNA? Well, Fury was a naughty lad. You see, after the Endgame battle, the wasteland filled with all kinds of crazy shit, he sent Skrulls in to go and grab all of the blood that was on the floor and collect it all up. Which means, because of the fighting, he has like Iron Man's DNA, Captain America's DNA, Black Panther's DNA, Spider-Man's DNA. You've got them all, and you put them in this vial. And if you put that vial into the machine, it'll give you every single power across the entire MCU.
Wow.
And so in the finale, Gravik wants that off Samuel Jackson, and he's like, okay, I'll give it to you if you promise to leave this planet and leave humans alone. But it's a ruse, you see. It's not Samuel Jackson. It's Emilia Clarke pretending to be Fury. And so Gravik, luckily, decides, I'm going to pop Fury into the machine with me when I get the powers. As a taunt, I guess. It doesn't work on humans, lol. But he doesn't realize he's been double-crossed, and so she has the powers too. And they have what is being shared and understood to be the cringest fight in the history of like superheroes. The two of them like start with Gravik punches her with the Hulk fist. It'll just like form in his hand, and then she'll block it with Abomination's fist and use Mantis powers to try and put him to sleep. And as he hits the ground, he wakes back up and then uses. Do you remember Ebony Moore, the guy from Infinity War?
Yep.
She just pulls out his hand with rings on, or he'll do that, and like use telekinesis suddenly. And it's like, what the fuck is going on? The favorite one for me was she's backed off and she's preparing for a fight, and she pulls out Drax's arm. Drax's arm. She just yanks that out and punches him with it. It's like, what the fuck, man?
Oh my god.
Yeah, and then they both power up. They both have an I am all the Jedi moment, and they both use Captain Marvel's powers, which apparently you can just get from her blood, which apparently, I didn't even know she could bleed.
She bled?
I don't remember her bleeding on the battlefield, but they've got it.
She fights with Thanos, and they trade a few punches, but I don't know if you ever see her bleed.
She takes a power stone to the face.
Yeah.
So,
Maybe she dropped and
a few skin cells.
Oh, sorry. The funniest one is they both have ghost powers, and you might be thinking, who the fuck is
there?
The Ant-Man and the Wasp lady. They can phase through walls. It's like, she wasn't even in Endgame. What are you talking about? And then that's like, that was a result of getting like quantum attack. Like that's not like, I don't know, but how does that even? It's like, yeah, whatever.
There's a quantum explosion that she gets
and
caught
of course,
in, and
Emilia Clarke and Gravik have full control over all of these abilities. And so, like, when I was watching, I was just like, this is just that moment in Pirates of the Caribbean where Barbossa's like, are we just cursed to do this forever because we're both invincible?
Yeah.
And she just punches him really hard in the like spine and he dies.
What the?
Like,
like,
she's
there's
like
no
a Captain
clever
Marvel
maneuver or
punch.
anything. It's like, I'm just going to punch you harder than I did before.
Yeah, and then she like stands over and victorious, and it's just like, this is now the most powerful superhero in the MCU. It's Emilia Clarke's Gaia from Secret Invasion. And she's probably not going to pop up again. I don't even know if she'll have another thing. It was a shit show. Absolute shit show. And then, they randomly throw in that Fury has a wife who's a Skrull, and that she's insecure about whether or not he actually loves her. Would he love her Skrull form? And then at the end of the show, he's like, I'll kiss you
monster face.
Yeah. He's like, I love you for who you are. And that's the end.
I'm going to assume he did not know she was a Skrull when he married her.
No, he did.
Oh, he did. Oh, well,
the most important aspect of this whole subplot is like, is it a trans allegory more?
Like, I thought people saying furry, and I was like, I'm pretty sure the name is scaly when it's like a lizard type creature. Okay, you got to get your terms right.
Yeah, of course.
The problem for me was that I was so beyond uninvested. I was like, how many scenes has this lady even been in? And Rags and Free were like 3, I think. She's like introduced and they say hello. I was like, I don't even know who this fucking is. Fury's headed back up to the Saber station, and I was just like, I guess that's to connect to the Marvels, but. This show ends with the president announcing all-out war on Skrulls, kill on sight. These fuckers have tried to destroy everything, stop them. Yeah. And I'm going to be controversial here. The show portrays this as a bad thing. I was like, well, when 1 million of them have been killing and capturing and subverting political systems across the entire Earth as an invading alien force, you might need to put your foot down a little bit. You might need to be like, fuck you, for nearly destroying everything. And we're going to have to stop you. So, it's like, I'm sure the Marvels will cover stuff about the Skrulls. He mentions, like, the Kree want a peace treaty or something. We'll see how that goes. But, it was a disaster. It fits right in with the rest. And it's funny to know that, like, fans are having enough. Even Marvel fans were like, that fight at the end was shit. It was like, yeah, it was. You guys should check out the CG on it. It was funny.
Yeah, it's weird because it's like, I feel like a couple of years ago we probably would have all been watching it and shitting on it. Now it's like we're at the point of none of us even care enough to watch it.
Yeah,
it's sliding into irrelevance now. Like apathy has set for most of us.
Final tidbit that's worth mentioning is that when they find out Rhodey's a Skrull, he gets shot in the head. He's dead. He's a Skrull, and it's like, where's the real one? And he's been hidden in this like facility. They get him out at the end, and he's wearing his hospital gown, which means that he's taken from Civil War after he had his accident.
Yeah,
and that means that the scene where Rhodey spoke with Nebula. Do you remember when she's like, "My arm didn't always used to be like robotic," and he says like, "Yeah, I didn't always used to be like this either." It's like they want you to think he's talking about, "I didn't used to be fucking." Pretending to be human, I used to be a Skrull, but it's like, no, the whole point was that he was paralyzed and he was related to her about how they both got like robotic enhancements.
Exactly.
Fucking idiots. People are like, oh, the scene's better now. I was like, no, it's worse. They fucked it. And then you start thinking, wait, that means Rhodey doesn't even know that Tony's dead.
Right. In the scene, like when he's grieving for Tony at the end, along with everyone else. Oh.
So they've ruined that, like that, and then you think the awkward stuff. Like, didn't he talk to Sam about black issues in America?
Oh yeah,
but he's a Skrull.
He was just appropriating their culture.
But he's got an outsider's perspective. You see, Mom.
So yeah, people are equal parts angry and embarrassed on the Rhodey decision. It was so fucking pointless. And by the way, he desperately needs weaponry and firepower throughout the season. The Skrull Rhodey, he never uses the War Machine suit for no reason at all. I guess I couldn't afford it.
Expensive.
Yeah. Even though didn't the fucking show cost like $250 million or something ridiculous?
211 million.
How do you waste that much money?
How don't you have War Machine if you're spending over 200 million?
Exactly.
Honestly, you could have had a whole show of just him blowing stuff up as War Machine. I probably would have watched it.
Would have been more interesting to have a Skrull that has access to the War Machine suit. Isn't that like fucking shocking? You're like, oh shit.
Damn.
Oh well.
You don't recommend we watch it then?
It's piss. Like a lot of people are like, why would you what continuity is left to destroy? And it's like, well, I just told you. Like there's still pieces that matter and still exist, and they're still shitting on all of it. Because obviously, why did you just like remove Rhodey is already badly served by the MCU, right? He's been in it since Iron Man 2, Iron Man 1, technically, obviously the Don Cheadle version, but it's like he's barely had anything, and now you've made it so that half the fucking appearances he had, it wasn't even Rhodey. If I were Don Cheadle, I'd be like, "Oh, this is cool. Thanks."
Marvel, they are in the terminal stages of Marvelitis, I think, at this point.
Yeah.
It's just,
I'm sure for Don Cheadle, it's probably just an easy paycheck. That's why he's doing it for. Come on.
Yeah.
Well, he's waiting
that's
for
pretty much why all of them are doing it.
I assume he's waiting for Armor Wars. That's where he'll get to actually be a main character. And then you'll have Secret Wars will be the Avengers movie, right? Which he's probably going to be in. Oh, nightmare storytelling that completely wastes everything and ruins all the stuff that came before. Classic Marvel. And it's just nice to see that this time, instead of people saying like, "Oh, it's really neat," and then kind of hating on it later as it falls apart, like it seems that everyone already hates this one. I assume you guys know, but the AI intro did not do this show any favors.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah.
Know about that one.
People got mad.
Yeah, I mean, the overall emotion I was just getting from people on this one was just apathy. Yeah. There was a few brave souls who watched through it just to review it, but like everyone else just seemed to be like, "Nah, I don't give a fuck anymore." Just
people don't care. That was how I felt about Star Wars after watching the Obi-Wan Kenobi show, and then watching the first episode of Book of Boba Fett and giving up, because when Andor came out, I went, whatever. I don't care. You know, it's Cassian Andor. I love Rogue One. It's one of my favorite Star Wars movies, but it's just a show about Andor, and then lo and behold, it was actually really good. But you know, just the utter apathy there that's developed over, gosh, you know, a decade now of just mediocre movie or show, one after the other. It's just really tamping people down and souring them on the whole production. Right?
It just devalues it, really, because like all of these things, they go from being events that people get excited for to just you know, tasks that have to be gotten through to eventually just things that I don't care about anymore. I'm just going to avoid it altogether and just check out, and that's where we're at now, I think, for a lot of people. On that happy note, should we do some super chats?
Absolutely.
All right, let me see here. First one is from Mr. Luca, who says, "MauLer, TFA Part 5, when?"
Did you think, Mr. Luca, you're going to get an answer to that, a definitive one? All I'll say to dispel any rumors is some people being like, "He's not making them anymore. He's never going to." He's like, "No, they'll be made. They will. I'll never not make TFA Part 5 and 6. They'll come. They will come." What's next, of course, if anyone doesn't know, is the Quantum Mania video. The 19th. Mark your calendar.
Nice.
Does TFA stand for The Force Awakens or something else?
TFA is indeed The Force Awakens. I've been reviewing that movie for 5 years.
Jesus.
That's fantastic.
It's kind of fascinating how it is like the progenitor of the destruction of Star Wars. So,
I think by the end of it, it should consider itself thoroughly eviscerated by the time
I
you're
think
done.
so, maybe. Yeah.
Elsie Le Pen says, hypothetical. Open Bar is tasked with casting a Metal Gear Solid movie. Actors, writers, etc. Who do you pick to play who? Easy mode can be from any time. So yeah, you can pick actors that, you know, when they were young, they were perfect. They're not so much now, but yeah, whatever.
Cast who, sorry?
What's that?
Who we cast him for?
Metal Gear Solid, the movie.
Oh. Well,
so who would we have
I'll be
play
useless
Solid
on that.
Snake?
I've never played him.
Really?
I haven't played him either.
God.
Oh, they're
Russell,
awesome.
come on.
Yeah, they're quite good.
Yeah, you could probably have Kurt Russell do it.
Damn.
What else? Yeah, like for Meryl, damn, who would I have? Jessica Biel, I think might have for playing Meryl. If I had to pick her. Yeah, Liquid Snake. You want a sort of cool, dangerous, villainous British actor who just kind of has that sophisticated edge to him.
James
I
Corden?
think who would. What's that?
James Corden.
Perfect. Let's do the ridiculous version, and we'll have Taika Waititi direct it. We have James Corden as the villain.
Jesus Christ.
A young Jeremy Irons could play Liquid.
A very young one, yeah.
Yes.
You could have that.
Let's be honest. We know the easiest answer, Henry Cavill.
Henry Cavill for every role. I actually would. This is one of the rare circumstances where I wouldn't pick him because he's like too big and too kind of chiseled and heroic. I think you need, for someone like Snake, you need someone who's a bit more like a young Michael Biehn.
Oh,
Yeah, I was just thinking Kyle
Terminator.
Reese. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure he was based around him anyway, and I'm pretty sure that Colonel Campbell was based around Richard Crenna from the Rambo movies. Like, it's just I know what those codec images look like.
Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess go with Hideo Kojima's vision for it. Pac-Man says, "How about that production photo from No White and the 7 magical checkboxes? I can't wait to hear her rendition of One Day My Princess Will Come Out." Those were something else. I don't know how much damage that has done to the movie, but it's been severe.
Holy shit!
Were those images were leaked, right? They weren't released purposefully, were they?
No, they were. Like, I don't know, paparazzi shots or whatever, but they were unauthorized because it was getting filmed in the UK, and I think they had a couple of stand-ins because they couldn't have the American actors performing just because of the strike. So it's like they'll be CGI'd later, but yeah, even the costumes and everything just look like dog shit.
They're
It's
just
really embarrassing.
unbelievably garish.
Yeah.
There's no like coordination among them. It's just just random splashes of color and different style. It looks awful.
Yeah. Stephen Bobo says, "Drinker, now that you've played a bit of Final Fantasy 16, which is the better battle system, 16 or the 7 remake?" I'm going to say 16 actually. I think it's more immediate. It allows a bit more flexibility in your attack combos. Yeah, it works better for me. It obviously expands as the game goes on. You get more and more special moves and stuff. You can do more combos that you can chain together, and yeah, it definitely rewards people who put in the time to learn it. So yeah, I'd go for 16. Glippy says, "Best and worst TV series from the pre-woke era." Interesting. Breaking Bad, can we class that as pre-woke?
I think so.
Yeah.
It's like, I feel like 2015 is where it's like the cutoff.
Yeah.
I feel like I first really started hearing the term woke a lot when Black Panther came out, and it wasn't an insult then. It's not a term I like to use because I find it just insufficient. But
yeah,
I can't deny its popularity. But I think 2018 is kind of like the marker. So I would say Breaking Bad.
You're allowed to like
one of the all-time greats.
Split them up a bit, like go for individual seasons, because like I loved season 1 of Heroes and the first 2 seasons of Lost.
True.
But like the ending to Lost, the ending to Dexter, the ending to Heroes as well. Like these are some of the candidates for worst ever.
Well, some of them suffered from the writer's strike, didn't they? Heroes
They
suffered.
did.
Lost? No. Yeah, I think Lost might have been hit by that as well.
I'm not saying The Wire is one of the best shows, and again, that didn't have the best final season. It was still good and still better than most things that are on, but the first 4 seasons are absolutely incredible.
What about worst? What was the worst stuff that we saw from back in the day? Terra Nova.
Oh shit!
God, that was shit. It had a big budget as well. Like that was that was kind of shocking.
There's so many.
I don't like Friends.
I don't blame you, actually.
I say Big Bang Theory. A lot of people like it now.
Oh yeah.
That did a lot of damage. That was like the gateway for like geek culture, wasn't it? Like that's what let the normies in.
The fake geek culture.
Yeah.
An aesthetic.
Glippy says, "Is the Last of Us TV series worth buying on disc?"
Maybe you're asking the wrong guys. I don't know. Yeah, because it's out on UHD.
Yeah, I mean, it's like you can stream it whenever you want anyway, so I don't know why you'd bother.
True, though you'll get the special features and then having physical copies of the thing that if you think it's worth, it's really up to the individual if you think it's worth that.
Do you subscribe to I'm sorry, not HBO Max, Max just for The Last of Us, or do you watch other stuff? You're going to pay for I'm not sure how much it is on DVD, but that's probably cheaper than a whole year of Max.
True, yeah.
Just think about why you get physical media and that whether or not The Last of Us ticks that box for you or not, I guess.
Yeah. Good point.
Dark Hour says, "Hail to Drinker, MauLer, my friends Cynic and BlueCollarLoser, and to the chat. Not much to say other than that I love Open Bar and all of you guys." Oh, thank you. Go for Broke says, I'm coming, Optimus Prime and Movie Cynic 2023. Okay.
Little inside joke from my live show.
Nice.
I reviewed Transformers and didn't realize that Transformers had an insane fan base because I gave it a bad review. And I found this clip where apparently Optimus Prime says "I'm coming" very sexually, like a dozen times throughout the series.
Brilliant. Juxenhausen says, would Oppenheimer be more fun if instead of Florence Pugh we saw Emily Blunt ride on? I think probably, yeah. I would give that more of a vote. Not gonna lie.
I would.
He also says, side note, Cobra Kai needs to start filming ASAP. Well, it does, but they can't. I don't think they're all locked out. They're all on strike. They can't do anything. Damn. David Lamplow says, I appreciate a movie that does not treat its audience like idiots, and that is one of the many reasons that I really enjoyed Oppenheimer, though I agree it had some issues. I mean, yeah, I'll say that. It's nice when a movie doesn't patronize you. Actually, gives you a bit of respect as the audience. Waylon Bicephus says, Florence's Pugh or Emily's Blunt? Tough choice. I'm gonna go for Emily.
I'm gonna take Florence.
I'm Emily. Yeah.
Copus Joubert says, MauLer, please tell me you saw your son, Little Platoon's new video. He mentioned you in the first 2 minutes in a most peculiar way. And I know what he's referring to here.
Oh, yeah, the event with Jesus.
Yep.
I don't like to talk about it, okay? I don't like to talk about it. I think it's a private matter between me and Jesus.
Is it true, though? That's what I want to know.
He told me that I can't talk about it, and I agreed. So what do you want me to say? I guess that means it didn't happen. All right, definitely didn't happen.
Waylon Bicephus also says Brie Larson's toes or Phoebe Waller-Bridge's hairline. Fuck.
Why are these the choices?
I don't know, but he's presented us with the question, so we have to answer to the best of our abilities. I mean, probably Phoebe Waller-Bridge's hairline, because you could probably wear a wig and fix that.
True.
Or bag, yeah.
Marksman of 117B says, go bald or write Brie Larson's autobiography. What's all the Brie Larson stuff coming from? I'd probably go with the autobiography, because if I had to chronicle all the interesting things in her life, it would probably take me like 15 minutes. So, yeah, that's an easy job.
True.
And he also says, crucifixion or 2 full courses of gender studies. I'm not actually sure if I know.
And the crucifixion will be over relatively quickly.
True.
I think so, yeah.
You can pull yourself off
damage to you overall as well.
Yeah,
you have to pay for the gender studies courses too.
Yeah, crucifixion then, yeah. It seems we're all agreed. Okay, good.
Yeah, I'd say, yeah, go for
We
crucifixion.
did it, lads. We solved the problem.
Yeah. Hugo Joss Catton says, thoughts on the movie Troy? It's my favorite guilty pleasure movie. Eric Bana is magnificent and Brian Cox chews the scenery every scene that he's in. He definitely does. We did a watch through of that.
There is an
12 years
EFAP
ago
movies that you will eventually see that I think is really good, because we have a blast watching it for all different reasons, talking about pros and cons and sort of it's a pretty cool movie. I'm a fan of Troy. I think it's neat.
I think the sentiment overall was that we quite enjoyed it. It was a fairly, it was a long but pretty spectacular looking movie, and yeah, it was pretty fun.
Yeah.
M8566 says, "What's the deal with themes in movie criticism? Is that the enjoyment of themes is subjective, while the effective implementation of the themes is what can be objectively criticized or praised?" So basically, does having interesting themes in your movie give it like an extra point or two, or is it all come down to how well those themes are implemented into the story?
I think having them being there is worth nothing if they don't actually like mean something and connect with like the work that you're doing. I hate giving points to movies just because they're like, being good is fine and good. You're like, that's my theme, and every character is going to be trying to do nice things. It's like, what the fuck is that? Especially if characters are like doing evil things. You're like, I feel like this is fucked up. But then you have movies that put a hell of a lot more effort into it. Like, I think a lot of people get surprised because there was like a notion after TLJ that themes are lame and for like art students, when one of my favorite things to praise about The Thing is, thematically speaking, how well they do paranoia. Like almost every action in that film is dependent on the human nature of just mistrust and deception and stuff. There's loads of shit going on in that, and it's because of how well everything is characterized and how well it's written with cause and effect that you can point all of it out. A lot of films do really well in that regard. I'd even go as far as saying, like The Rock is, everyone would say it's a fun action movie. It's like, that wouldn't have themes, right? That's too artsy or whatever, right? Well, I mean, the film is about like what people will do to try and get rid of the mistakes of their past, try and cover them up, try and not be accountable for them, be it a government, a human being, or what effects that'll have on the world. And you're like, no, The Rock's just a fun action movie. It's like, it's all there. Like, and I'd rather reward the scripts for having that sort of effort put in than ignoring it and assuming it's something that only Rian Johnson does or something like that.
Yeah, I think you need to have substance to your themes, right? Having good themes is certainly does not make a good film. I mean, I think the best example, I've seen plenty of Christian films, right, that are very much independent films that have like a very good message, right, but they're just not well done, right? They're not well executed, and so it makes the theme that much less worth it when you're not able to tell the story well. And I think we're seeing that so much in Hollywood now with themes and messages that generally run contrary to what we think, and the storytelling is getting worse, right?
I mean, I couldn't even figure out what Barbie's themes were. Everything was so all over the place. I have no idea what they wanted to say about anything. And part of it, you might be like, well, it's pretty obvious what they were trying to say. It's like, well, if you look at the events of the film and what they have like with the Kens and stuff, it's like, what are you saying about men then? What do they represent allegorically? And I think whatever answer Greta Gerwig would give me, I would be like, well, but wait, what about this? And then she'd be like, why are you taking that part seriously? Or why are you including that in the equation or something? I was like, I don't know, because it's there.
Because it's there.
Yeah, that movie didn't know what its themes or message was.
No, yeah, and I would say it's like horrifically executed. So the presence of a point doesn't really matter compared to how well it's integrated, I would say.
No, I agree 100% with the panel on this one. Because I think if you go down that other road, it encourages like an absolute laziness in storytelling with writers, where it's like you're expecting to get praise just because you try to address interesting themes, or you hinted at them or something, and that's almost enough to compensate for a shitty story that's poorly thought out. It's like, no,
that
it's not.
answers why Snyder cult fans exist, because if the existence of a good idea like made a great film instead of the execution, then Zack Snyder would be the greatest director on earth.
Just let him finish the story, okay?
God. If we went down that road, we would be showering the prequels for Star Wars with praise, with nothing but praise, because it's like you've got great themes there. But the implementation is kind of shitty, and so we can look at them now as like a very flawed series of films. But there's
I think another part there. Example we might see with talking about the new Snow White or whatever you want to call it versus Tangled, which came out all the way back in 2010. And in that one, she's not really. I mean, she is saved by Flynn in the end, right? He cuts off her hair so she doesn't get carted away by what's her name, Gothel, forever. But she, they do change the original fairy tale, thank goodness. And she has far more agency, but she also has to, learn a lot. She's very naive, and she has to grow and figure out how the world works and everything. And so that's, thing where it's like, she doesn't really get saved by the prince. He's not really a prince. It's a much more mutual thing. And so she's got that theme there, right? That they say they want in the Snow White, but it's executed well in a way that's satisfying for the character. And that makes all the difference.
Yeah.
Hugo Joss Catton says, great fan theory for Starship Troopers. The whole film is a propaganda movie by the Federation for the war effort, and the want-to-know parts are simply ad breaks, hence the OTT patriotism and the beautiful cast. Yeah, I think Paul Verhoeven said exactly that. That's why he cast these actors, because they look like people from propaganda movies. I think even down to the fact that they're quite wooden. Which must be great for the actors to do, I'm sure.
Denise Richards is a phenomenal actress.
Oh yeah, I can think of 2 reasons why she was cast in that film at least. Just like in James Bond. Absolute Amoeba says, "Evening drinker, have you or the panel seen the 1999 BBC 2-part war drama Warriors? It's a grim watch, but I'd highly recommend. It's about the British Army in Bosnia. Extremely well made and is based on soldiers' testimonies." I remember this one actually, and yeah, there's scenes in that are fucking grim. Like, yeah, it deals with a pretty nasty conflict. Pretty honestly, I remember it being really good.
I hadn't heard of that, but apparently it's got Damian Lewis in it.
Yes,
He's an excellent
a
actor.
very young version of him. Yeah. Absolute Amoeba says, "I find it sad how Hollywood has lost the art of show not tell. Once Upon a Time in the West's finale is 9 minutes long and has 8 words said. Now it'd be consistent dialogue or crying or jokes, I think."
They've lost that art so hard that they don't even know what they're showing us anymore. They show us shit that means something, and they're like, "What? No, that's not what I said." And it's like,
yeah,
that's what you showed me, though. And they're like, "I don't care. That's not what I said."
Well,
like,
well, look at the movie that you and I watched the other night, The Descent. There's
banger.
a lot of elements to
Banger
that.
film.
Good movie.
Yes, where it conveys a lot of information without the characters having to straight up tell us. It shows us things, and it lets us form our own opinions about what led up to all this. Very smart, very economical screenwriting. It's good. It's how movies used to be done. It's nice to see.
Better Call Saul does show not tell excellently.
Yeah.
Even when they're using dialogue, the conversations are so natural that it's practically show don't tell, and it's in and of itself because it just sticks you into the middle of a relationship. They don't have to set things up right for the audience. It just drops you in and goes.
With a lot of that comes a respect to the audience's intelligence. Like it's like we showed you this, and this. You get it, right? And we're like, yeah, we got it.
And it makes for so much more interesting conversations afterward, where I talk with my wife about it. Like, wait, okay, so what was his motivation for doing that? And you have to go back and maybe watch it a little bit, like, and you notice things you didn't before. So because they put so much more detail and effort into it.
An example of respecting intelligence, I think, from The Descent would be that we're told early on, no one has explored this cave yet, and I want to do it so that we all have a chance to name it. That'll be awesome. Cool. They go in and they find climbing gear. It's like, if you put it together, that means that the people who had the climbing gear didn't get to name the cave. So what happened to them? And you're like, But of course, the film doesn't go, "Oh my God, these men must have died. Oh, that's scary. That might happen to us." It's like, no.
I was going to say, Drinker, I know you reviewed The Covenant, and probably my favorite scene in that entire film was, you remember at the time when he had the litter and he's walking up the mountaintop and just like, he stops and just the whole look of like, you can imagine what's going on in his head, but he wants to give up so fucking bad. And he's just like, "I'm burnt out, man."
It's like, I've got this almost insurmountable task of trying to drag a badly wounded man over almost impassable terrain. I could probably leave him behind and just strike out myself and make it. But I'm choosing to stay with him. And it's like, there's that moment of real doubt where it's like he's really questioning whether he's got what it takes to keep doing this. And like you're a perfect example. He doesn't say a single word in any of that, but you know exactly what's going on there.
Yeah.
It's good stuff. Jeff Romadix says, "I would expect a Barbie movie to have feminist themes in it. My issue is that this has infested into everything from Star Wars, Marvel, and even He-Man." I agree in the sense that like it's almost taken as a given now that every movie has to have this stuff in it, even if it's like a male-centric film. Well, of course it has to have like amazing feminist characters in it as well, because it's got to be balanced out. But then when you do the opposite, something like Barbie, it's like you're never going to get a voice saying like, well, there has to be strong, well-developed male characters in it as well. No, there doesn't. Although ironically the Kens became the unlikely heroes of it, but that's not what the writers intended. That's just something that's happened because they're kind of bad at their jobs. So yeah, it's an interesting one. Waylon Bicephus says, "Jack Me Off and Mike Hawk are having a good time, but Tug McGroin wants to come too. So how do you solve this conundrum?" I don't think we can. They'll have to figure it out amongst themselves. Ethan Rackham says, "MauLer, Platoon is coming for you. I know that your TFA video will destroy him. Now, failure of not delivering in the year will make me send Hawkins to the drinker to make him decide which dog is going to live. Christ, that's a deep reference.
And you will get a video this year, guaranteed. I've been working my ass off on this one. It's getting close. Been interrupted a little by Secret Invasion, and interrupted by I'm editing an EFAP movies right now that me and Drinker did yesterday. Was it yesterday?
Yeah.
It was yesterday. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't mind telling people about that. I assume you're okay with it too.
I'm okay with this. Yes.
Thanks to Drinker, the legend, he put together myself, Rags, and Fringy with Neil Marshall, the director of The Descent. That's why we watched it. We watched it with him.
Awesome.
And we had a chat with him. I'm going to try and get that out within the next week because I think it'll be really fun for people.
I can't wait to watch it.
A lot of fun. I love that movie.
Cirrhosis of Liver says, greetings, Drinker. To the whole panel, which actor or actress is amazing on screen but is or was a jerk in real life besides Ed Norton and Marlon Brando?
I've heard Harrison Ford.
Would Bill Murray count? I know that Gary kind of hates him.
Bill Murray.
Oh yeah, he's a monumental dick in real life. Isn't he?
Yeah. Well, that's disappointing.
Val Kilmer was notoriously difficult to work with.
About Kevin Spacey.
Chevy Chase too.
Yeah. I'm just trying to think if there's any more actually. Who else has got a bad reputation?
It's probably
say Ezra Miller, but then he's not doing anything particularly good on screen. So
I've heard from people who've actually worked with Tyler Perry that he is a dick.
Really?
In real life? Yep.
Oh right.
Oh, surprisingly, I did a stream with some friends a few weeks back, Drinker, and we talked about Jumanji, and everyone said that this guy's girlfriend said she met everyone off screen, and the biggest asshole on set was Jack Black, which caught me off guard.
Really?
And that's why I was, and she's like, The Rock was fantastic. Kevin Hart was fantastic. And the girl plays Gamora, but she's like, Jack Black was such a diva and treating the staff like crap and making like people cry. And I'm like, I don't know if that's true or not, but I wouldn't have seen that coming.
Well, yeah, no, I wouldn't either. He seems like a pretty chill guy.
You never know. Maybe he's just having a bad day. That's the tricky thing with people talking about meeting celebrities. You see this sort of like comments on Reddit. It's like, oh, I ran into Mick Jagger one day and he was a real dick. It's like, well, maybe he's having a bad day. Who knows?
Yeah, exactly.
Ron Perlman, yeah. He just seems to like his whole shtick now is just like confused old man yells at his phone.
Yeah.
It's like it's weird. I don't know why he feels like he has to keep doing this, but it's not doing him any favors. Because I used to like Ron Perlman. I thought he played a lot of interesting roles. Obviously
Hellboy.
not like your sort of classically handsome actor, but like just seemed to have a lot of interesting character roles going on. But yeah, never mind. Oh yeah, and same question. Sorry, question from the same guy says. Also, the inverse. Which actor or actress can't act worth a damn, but seems to be a genuinely honest to God good person?
Well,
Keanu Reeves.
Keanu Reeves is like the king of that.
Yeah.
I mean, aside from obvious hiccups, I'll probably say Arnie. That's the impression I get. Is that he's not very good at acting, but loads of people love him, and you see a lot of work he does just for general, like, trying to inspire people, helping them with like weightlifting, and he's said like his focus in life right now is to just get everybody on their journeys to greatness and stuff. You can respect that.
I was going to say Emilia Clarke as well, but I think that's more a result of her just being miscast so many times. It's almost like lulled me into thinking like she's just a shit actor, but it's like, no, I think she's just not been given good roles.
Yeah.
But yeah, she comes across as quite nice in real life. Like the interviews I've seen, she seems pretty down to earth. And she knew what was up with Game of Thrones season 8.
Yeah.
Clips.
Did she say she cried after reading the script?
Best season ever. And
She's
got this really awkward laugh, like, oh dear.
I can't remember how the quote goes, but I think she said she was wandering around London tearing up after reading the script. Like she couldn't handle what she's gonna have to do. It's like, yep.
Robbo says, what is everyone's favorite Christopher Nolan movie? I'm a big fan of Insomnia, which I guess is telling given it contains a lot of his usual hallmarks, but is an absorbing, slow burn, simply effective thriller. I'm looking forward to Oppenheimer too. So, I think I know what you're going to say, MauLer.
My vote is his best one. Prestige.
Yeah.
I'm gonna agree with MauLer.
I agree with you on that one. Actually,
I can't debate MauLer on that one. He's right.
It's really good.
I still love The Dark Knight.
Yeah, I'm with Cynic on this one.
It's a really good movie. When I look now at him, it's almost hard to believe like they got this guy in to direct a superhero film.
Yeah,
or a comic book film.
Superhero film.
It just seems like it seems like such a weird choice now.
Yeah.
Man, he nailed it though.
And he said he's never doing it again.
Yeah, I'm okay with them not doing it anymore.
Hey, you got to know when to stop, and that's awesome. That's a rare virtue these days.
That's true.
What was your choice, Drinker? I didn't catch it.
I would probably go with the Prestige as well, if I'm honest. I think that was where they balanced out. That's where he was reined in enough that he could balance out the complex storytelling with lots of layers into it, lots of technical expertise, but also a decent bit of character work there as well. The characters felt like real people, so yeah, that'd be mine. Slack Attack says, is anyone stoked about the Iron Claw movie by A24 that's about the Von Erich brothers? I'd heard that the Von Erichs, they were doing a movie about this, but like I didn't know what it was called or anything. Yeah, so I don't know a huge amount about it, but
neither do I.
Yeah.
I never heard of it.
Ghost of Drinker's Liver says, The Simpsons once had an episode where a Hollywood studio made a superhero film plagued by overspending, bad edits, and a disinterested lead actor. It seems oddly relevant today.
How long ago was that?
The goggles, they do nothing.
Yeah. I was actually going to bring up, don't forget that the whole Radioactive Man thing, but also, do you guys remember the episode where Homer convinces Mel Gibson to make a movie the way he wants it? And when they finish, it's basically Mel Gibson shooting everybody, because of course it's Homer, and it doesn't test well. I don't think it does well, and I think the point partly that they were making is that the audience don't always know what they're looking for. You shouldn't go like explicitly with them every time. Not to keep bringing it back to it, but I mean it's relevant. Like I assume you guys know, but the Descent's ending was poo-pooed slightly by American audiences because it was too bleak, and it's like, maybe you should just ignore them. maybe they don't know better. I don't know.
Fermented Cinema says, and this is for 100 Canadian dollars, so thank you. Drinker, I've been following you since Game of Thrones. Thanks for the drunken bliss. I've been trying to get my take, Fermented Cinema, off the ground, but I've yet to tickle the algorithm. Please take this bribe. Friendly offer to check it out. I would love to hear your thoughts. Well, nice one, man. I'll need to take a look at your channel, Fermented Cinema. Yeah, thank you for that, and wish you the best of luck, my friend. Max Bolton says, hope all is well, everyone. What would you all say to your favorite Spider-Man and then Batman movie? Also, please God, don't delay the Marvels. So yeah, I guess favorite Spider-Man and favorite Batman movie.
See, Spider-Man 2, because the stuff with Doc Ock is just fantastic, and Peter not actually losing his powers because of stress. And actually, Yellow Flash has shared that the best Batman movie ever is coming to 4K with Mask of the Phantasm.
I might actually go for the first Raimi Spider-Man movie just because I love the Green Goblin and I love Willem Dafoe in it. But yeah, and for Batman, probably going to be either the Tim Burton Batman 89 or Batman Returns. Yeah, I love that
Batman
style.
Returns for me. That one's easier than the Spider-Man one. For me, it's going to be a toss-up between Spider-Man 1, Raimi, Homecoming, and I really like Into the Spider-Verse too. So it's I'd have to think about it, rewatch them all sort of to get a ranking, so it's not the most useful. But there's a shit ton of Spider-Man movies. I ruled out a bunch. There you go.
Yeah.
I'm going with recency bias and saying No Way Home and the Batman.
Okay, all right.
Just out of curiosity, if you could make your ideal cut of the Batman movie, would you keep in the plot at the end with the flooding of Gotham?
Nope, I'd cut that out.
That's fair play.
I don't need a fourth act in my movie. No,
no, I agree.
I'd probably say Dark Knight. I haven't seen that many Batman movies. And was it Mask of the Phantasm? That one's being re-released, right? I'll have to check that one out. And then Spider-Man's close because it's 1, 2, or No Way Home. Probably, if I had to pick one gun to my head, I'd probably go with Raimi's Spider-Man 2.
Cool. Just as well, Blue Collar Loser is just over 100 shy of 1K.
Shit,
so
thanks.
He's almost there.
Appreciate it.
So if you guys are watching this and you haven't subscribed to him, let's see if we can get him over 100K. We just need
100K. Thanks.
100K. Yeah, that's more than I
Alright.
can probably do on this stream. But we get him over 1K, so we need about 100 more people to subscribe. I think we can manage it.
Thanks.
What's the next one? David Lamplow says, I'd like to know if any of you have seen First Man. If not, whether you would consider doing a review. It's another really good biopic about Neil Armstrong that went under the radar in 2019. Yeah, was that Ryan Gosling that was in that?
It was. I did see it. I wasn't very moved by it. I was like, that was okay. I'm off then to the next thing.
Okay.
That's my review. That's
Not
my
really
extensive
selling it.
review.
MauLer's
I mean,
right
it was
about that.
impressive. Lots
Yeah.
of it was, but it didn't hit me in the heart, unfortunately.
Yeah.
RRTNZ says, Hail Drinker and Co. Just saw Oppenheimer, was gripped from start to finish. Barbie may show how stupid the West has become, but this film made me surprisingly hopeful intelligent filmmaking can still exist. Well, good. That's good. Man of the Half Hour says, an average episode of Aqua Teen Hunger Force makes more sense than anything in Secret Invasion. Christ, I haven't heard about Aqua Teen Hunger Force in a long time. Damn. No, fair play. Waylon Bicephus says, have any of you seen Django, the 1966 movie?
No.
I haven't.
No.
I'm afraid no.
Nope.
Sure.
Jan says, now I'm become drunk, the destroyer of livers. Timothy Finch says, breaking, Tom Cruise seen desperately calling up Barbie's marketing department to help him advertise Dead Reckoning Part 2 before Paramount cancels it.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, I mean, that movie is not done as well as people expected. Let me see. Where is it sitting at now?
I was actually going to say, if we could have a look.
So it's 376 million worldwide.
Okay.
But that only goes up to Tuesday, so it's a couple of days behind. But yeah, not great.
Oh
Way
man,
below where it
that's
should be.
yeah. That it might be in trouble then, right?
It
It's
could
had
be.
what, 2-3 weekends?
Yeah.
I mean, this movie was a $300 million movie almost. Like it was an expensive one to make. So this needs to be way up at like.
It needs to have Barbie
800 by the time
numbers.
it's done. Yeah. Surprising. I don't know why it's fallen short.
It's weird.
Is it the rewatch factor? The fact that it's a bit long. A lot of the complaints I saw from people who aren't me were the pacing was a bit rough. Is that it? Like
sure.
people don't want to rewatch the film because it's a bit too long or it feels long.
It could be. I mean, it could be that the sheer momentum of things like Barbie and Oppenheimer is just it's taking the wind out of their sails as well. You know, people are just going to see those movies.
I just
instead of
never
Mission
thought.
Impossible.
I never thought that was a thing that Barbie or Oppenheimer could take audiences away from Mission Impossible. You know, it feels like three separate
neither.
areas, but
I agree.
Anthony Pook says, examples of good character work but terrible plotting. So good characters in an otherwise terrible movie.
we had this question. I did a stream before this stream. My answer was The Suicide Squad. I really like the character work in it, but the plot is kind of nonsense when you think about it.
Yeah.
But it's as brought this up, it's a rarity that you get this because plot is usually downstream of character. Not all the time, but character being in character decides to do something. Let's say we need to get a sandwich from the store, and then the whole house of people like, let's go do it, and they go on. It's like, what's wrong with the plot there? It's all dependent on characters making decisions. So it's hard to find examples, but I think the Suicide Squad is one of them.
Do you think sometimes it's a case of the actors have elevated the character to some extent, and so you almost, it's not like you overlook the writing, but it's like you can get taken in by that and just think the character is perhaps better written than they actually are.
It can be, yeah. Performance can save mediocre writing.
Now, something Drinker says I agree with watching the Batman twice, and then I had to watch it one more time on HBO. It's true with the Batman, it's like, what is the tone of this film? First, they're scared shitless of him. Then he's just walking around with the police station. Hey, what's up, buddy? I don't get the tone of the Batman, the way they treat him in that film.
Hey, the movie can fight back.
Yeah.
I can't answer for these like obvious plot holes. Like they're at the end of the second act, when he's running away from the police, and then they're all buddy. It's like we just missed something, and they in a 3-hour movie. I don't know why they didn't inform us why they're okay right now. I don't have an answer for you because my answer to this actual super chat is my Spider-Man answer, which is No Way Home. I think it's saved by character. There are a lot of plot holes in that movie.
Aurora Uplinks says, Star Wars film idea. A crime lord, once a citizen of an alien world, hires Boba Fett to assemble a Mandalorian mercenary task force to free his homeworld. That would do.
Sounds like it's got a plot, which is better than most of the recent Star Wars properties.
A story to tell? What?
You mean Boba Fett gets to do stuff?
No.
What? This can't be true.
You jest.
Madness.
Yeah. Asher's Brain Pan says, if The Witcher Season 3 Part 2 sees as a bit of a drop, as big of a drop as Part 1, do you think they'll Batgirl Season 4? Well, like people have said earlier, I think with the strikes on, you could probably get away with cancelling a lot of stuff. Just sweeping it quietly under the rug, and then no one needs to know about it ever again. Perfect excuse. So, yeah. I can see that happening. And I'd be fine with it. And yeah, I'll finish up with this one. Dragon Paul Z says, let's pretend the Rey movie is a 9 out of 10 banger. What does that do for Rey's character going forward? Do we ignore the cringe of episodes 7 to 9? And if so, what is her legacy? So yeah, it's an interesting question, actually. Say they do this Rey standalone movie, and it's amazing. What the hell do we even think about her as a character then?
I mean, I don't know. The answer's simple for me. If she's written amazing in a new movie, then I'd start to like Rey. But I'd probably want to let people know, like, I don't like the Rey from the sequel trilogy who writing shit. But new one, pretty good. It's not like we've never seen repairs in writing before. I think drinking to test to Picard season 3, it must have, I assume, made you like certain characters more than you had previously, right?
But most of the time they were established characters anyway from TNG, so like, I already liked them.
My point is, of course, that you love them classically, and then they all got degraded into these new versions, and you kind of hate those. You separate them out, but then those new versions were given repairs to the point where you're like, I kind of like these guys. They're okay. Yeah. Obviously, if we had as good as season 3 for 4, 5, 6, 7, or something crazy like that, you might actually get just to the point where you're like, yeah, I don't really talk about season 1 and 2 with this shit, but I really like the characters. Yeah.
Well, with Rey specifically, I think, at least personally, I don't remember the sequels all that well because I watched them again. But Rey mostly suffered from just a lack of character work and a lack of growth, right? She just kind of skipped and jumped to where she needed to be. So if you actually put in the work, right, you don't have to retcon anything. You don't have to walk back. You just have to actually have her put in the work and, do whatever she's doing to learn how to be a Jedi master or a trainer or a teacher. Like that's very much possible without having to undo stuff because they didn't do much in the first place.
You can always bring it back, or at least I'd like to think you can.
Yeah, I think, if I was put in charge of this, like a Rey movie, I think I could probably do something interesting with her as a character. I think it might involve Luke Skywalkering her a little bit, because it's like, how do you fucking like it? But also, if it's handled well, you could probably do something pretty cool with that. Like, imagine a much older version of Rey who's having to deal with the next generation coming up, and looking back on the things that she's done and not perhaps seeing herself in the most heroic light. I think, there's things you could do with that, but I just don't think they would have the balls to go to interesting places with her character.
No.
Probably not.
Yeah, it's like MauLer was saying, anything can be repaired. Everyone's seen Stranger Things, what was happening with that, and they repaired a lot of shit with Stranger Things.
And then that last episode fucked a bunch of things up. But yes.
You're right.
The sentiment is there, Overall,
they got me back, and then they slapped me in the face.
Yeah. But I think I'll probably finish it up there because, we've been going for like 2.5 hours or so. But yeah, I want to say to my awesome panel that has come on tonight, thank you, all of you gentlemen, for joining us this evening. It's been great to have all of you on. All the Kens united. In our
We are Kana.
We've broken free of the oppression of the evil Barbies. We should feel proud.
The Kenaholics Anonymous.
Yeah.
Well, kind of.
And yeah, thank you, chat, for like, first of all, the amazing super chats. You guys have been extremely generous as always, and for all the amazing Ken jokes that you've been constantly hitting us with. I tried to get as many as possible on while we were talking, but they were great stuff. So thank you guys. And last of all, my mods, thank you very much. Appreciate all you guys for keeping things ticking over. Yeah, Mr. Brown Alliance. If you guys are inclined to follow his channel, he is just shy, I think, of 2,000 subscribers. And if he gets there, he's going to do something like a crazy 12-hour live stream, which I know, MauLer, is rookie numbers from your point of view. But
it's a start. It's an intro. That's cool. That's cool getting things started up.
They're planning to do a 12-hour live stream if they get there. So if you're inclined to help them out, that would be pretty cool. See if they can get to 2K. But yeah, I think otherwise that is all we've got for this evening. So go away now.
Bye.
Bye. Pleasure.